I would like to now invite Nirbanu Somani to join us at the front. Nirbanu Somani is a postgraduate researcher at Anglia Ruskin University in Cambridge, exploring the therapeutic benefits of music to promote health and well-being in older adults with late onset of vision loss. She is passionate to connect with people and bring joy into their lives by promoting music as an outlet for comfort and emotional expression. Our student speaker, Nirbanu Somani, is talking about music-based interventions, well-being, and vision impairment.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my research that I've been doing over the past year, which is addressing psychological and emotional well-being of people with acquired vision loss, so that is people who have lost their vision later in life. So, where's the clicker? So what I'll do is I'll give you a bit of an introduction, a bit about my methods that I use, my results, and then some analysis and some conclusions, and finally some recommendations from the research that I have found. So just to give a bit of an overview, vision impairment can affect someone's psychosocial well-being. So imagine being sighted all your life, being able to drive, walk across the road, do things independently. Now your vision starts to deteriorate. How that can really feed into your well-being, into your mental health. You can feel quite low, quite anxious, quite afraid, especially in social settings. If you're a very social person, you're no longer able to interact with people the way that you used to because you can't see them in the same way. And people might look at you a little bit differently. And when you lose your sight, the first thing people do is look at the physical symptoms. So mobility is the first concern. So, especially in the United Kingdom, when you lose your sight, you're straight into rehabilitation, about mobility training, low vision aids, but they really neglect our mental health, our well-being. I think we need to appreciate health isn't just physical symptoms, it's both physical and mental, and they really do go hand in hand. So addressing mental health, especially in the United Kingdom, is something that's been put on the back burner. So it is an area that needs to be addressed. At the moment, in the present, according to the literature, the interventions for mental health is quite limited in the UK and is very scattered depending on what part of of England you're in. The front line of service in the NHS, the National Health in the UK, is cognitive behaviour therapy.
Right.
Now, cognitive behaviour therapy is great, but you need to be at a stage of acceptance. And it requires you to do a lot of reading and writing, a lot of changing your thinking patterns, the way that you perceive things, mindset changing. So when you've just lost your sight, the last thing you want to do is more reading and writing, because that's the thing you struggle with the most. That's the reason you have these low vision aids. So why am I going to make someone do more reading and writing? So I had this dialogue with my supervisors and I was like to them, I'm doing this. I know this is what I signed up for. I don't really like this. I'm going to change this a bit. And my supervisor was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, let me think about it. So I had a bit of an epiphany and I was like, what about music? It works for stroke rehabilitation. It's worked for mental health. It's worked for people with insomnia. It's worked for different populations. Why are we not applying this to the visually impaired people? So I went back to my supervisor. I was like, look, this is all the literature out there. And my supervisor flicked all my papers. He was like, no, music is just a gimmick. There is no real science behind this. We're clinical optometrists here. We are ophthalmologists. We are all clinical. We are all about the eyes. We don't do this. And I said, okay, let me find you a specialist. I got a music therapist on board, and I was like, music therapist, it's a real science. There is neuroscience to back this all up, how music really affects our brain. Let's do this. And my supervisors were convinced, and we completely revamped my entire thesis. So that's how I ended up doing music. Okay, so now that I've decided I'm going to be doing a music intervention to address well-being of people with a vision impairment, COVID had hit, and which meant that people could not come into our music therapy labs to have their dose of music as their treatment, because music was meant to be the treatment for them. And as you're visually impaired, you're not able to access things online, was a bit of a challenge. So now it was about delivering a music intervention remotely to people with vision loss. So that was a big barrier. So I had to do some literature review and find out how has music been delivered into different population groups remotely. So that was number one. And number two was, how has music been used in the visually impaired population in the past? So I conducted a scoping review. There are different types of reviews. If you are familiar, there is systematic reviews, there's a meta-analysis. The one I chose was a scoping review, and the reason for that is because in a scoping review, it lets you ask very specific questions, which is what I was asking for. I wanted to know very niche things about a visually impaired population. And we found that music in visually impaired population was very limited, and it was really applied to people who have been born without vision. So it was all for congenital visual loss, and mainly in children, not really in older adults. And older adults losing their sight, it's extremely high. I don't know if you've seen the statistics. It is pretty high. I think it's like 1 in 8 people in the United Kingdom over the age of 60 has some sort of visual impairment, deterioration of vision later in life. So it's pretty high up there. So it was a problem. And this particular population group, nothing had been done. There wasn't enough out there. So I was pretty much starting from scratch, using other population groups as my baseline. So the hypothesis, if it wasn't already obvious, music may serve as catalyst to relieve feelings of depression, anxiety, and stress. That was the hypothesis. With music, we knew it worked. So when I was designing my intervention, it wasn't a case of, okay, so let's do music and then have a control group where they're doing white noise or no music at all. Because we've seen it work, so we didn't want a control group because it was a bit of a waste of a time. This is something I probably have to defend in my Viva, to say, this is why we didn't have a control group. But that was the reason we didn't do the control group, but we tried to do both mindful music, so having a mindfulness element, so finding a part of your music that makes you relax. So whether it's the rhythm, the beat, the bass that was going on, we tell them to mindfully listen to the music, and the other group was just told to actively just listen to the music so when I say actively listen to music, it means passively listen to music without multitasking. So not music whilst you're cleaning the kitchen, whilst you're driving. This is you music whilst just relaxing on your couch, on your bed, on your chair, and just focusing on your music. One with mindfulness, one without. So that was the two groups. And the trial was 4 weeks long, so it was 4 weeks before they were asked to do a hospital device questionnaire. So we used the HADS. So if you're in academia and research, you'll be familiar with the hospital and anxiety depression scale. And we used the PSS-14, which is the perceived stress scale. Both scales have been used in the visually impaired populations. And they had good psychometric properties. So that was the reasons I decided to go with those two questionnaires. And then I also did some qualitative analysis as well. So we did thematic analysis from the pre-survey and the post-survey. Another element of the intervention was personalized music as well. So the thing is that music is very safe. There is no stigma attached to music. It's non-invasive, but at the same time, it can be a little bit invasive. By that, I mean, if you're listening to triggering music, you're going to feel more sad, you're going to feel more emotional. So if you're going to listen to a song that reminds you of an ex-partner, of a late mother, you're going to feel sad, right? So that's the reason why I had these consultations with my participants. And I said to them, okay, let's work out what music actually uplifts you, that actually improves your mood. Not music that's going to make you feel more down, more low, just because you find it pleasant. So that was a whole personalization. And with some people, as part of the surveys, they weren't very clear. So there were people that said, oh, I like jazz. Okay, there's lots of different types of jazz. Is it instrumental jazz? Is it psychedelic jazz? Now, what specific type of beats do you like in the jazz music? So there were a few consultations we did. And these consultations were done remotely via Zoom. You'll be surprised, people over the age of 65 are very good with Zoom. They have got some very, very good digital skills.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of recruitment, all my participants were recruited between February last year and August. And we recruited through using 15 sight loss charities. We've used schools and then residential care homes. That was probably the best one, actually. So the locations of how I got my participants, they were in Cambridge, Essex, Hertfordshire and Greater London. And the way they found out about the intervention was mainly through social media platforms, attending cyclubs social groups as well, which is they have a lot of cyclos communities. They have a lot of morning coffee times. So I just went there and I proposed my idea. I was like, would you guys be open to trying out some music? And that was the best way to do it, because I initially tried. I thought, okay, social media, everybody's on Facebook. There's so many different groups. There's the Royal Institute of Blind in the UK, the RNIB, a very popular group. There's thousands of people in these groups. And I was like, well, I'm sure people will sign up because everybody's liking each other's posts, but it was very, very low intake. And what I realized, when you're losing your sight, you don't really want to be reading things. You want personal touch, personal rapport. And when I actually communicated my ideas to them, I was recruiting, it was literally like pouring water. I was like, people just wanted to sign up because they like the idea. Everybody has a soft spot for music. It's just a case of making time for the music and using music applying music in a different way, seeing in a different way, not just music, background music. This is actually you taking the time out for yourself to listen to music, as if it's your medicine every single day, your daily dose of 20 minutes to 1 hour music every single day. So that's pretty much how I managed to get my participants. The participants were all voluntary as well, which was very good. Unfortunately, it was my supervisor wasn't exactly on board with the idea. Therefore, we didn't apply any of my research funding towards the study, so we weren't able to give them any financial subsidy for the intervention. In terms of results, the age range was quite broad, so we had people between the ages of 18 to 89. The average age, however, was 68. The completion rate after 4 weeks of the intervention was 82%. So we had 82 people on the entire intervention. 41 were on the mindful music group, and there was 40 on the music listening group. So it was a nice split, and 82%, like I mentioned, completed it. So by the end of it was quite a high completion rate. The issue we had was we asked the participants to complete a diary log, and the diary log completion rate was quite low, and the reason for that is because we were asking them to do more typing and more writing. So a lot of my participants, which I will explain on my next slide, were actually using tools like an Alexa, a Google Play. So all they had to say was, Alexa, play music. So for them, it was just their son or daughter who would just come, or someone over the phone that would help do this technological setup for them. So it was just a case of them playing music. So for them to log into their laptop and to start completing more surveys was a burden, which I will probably explain a little bit more.
There's a program on Google where you can just dictate the notes. So next time you do this.
We did. So yes, that is a big one. So we use Dragon. We have voice recognition. So yes, so they all used it, but it was still, I think when you get to post 65, unless you really need to be doing more reading and writing using a digital device, it's not something you really want to be doing at that age. You just want to, you're in retirement. When you're in your middle ages and you're working, you don't have a choice, but you need to be on top of all this digital, using your phone, completing things, reading, writing. That these are things that we do. But when you're at that age of like 70s, 80s, you're like, do I really want to be doing this extra thing? So I think that from my population group, I'm sure this isn't an accurate representation. I think there's billions of people in the world, so this is just a subgroup that I have gathered. Okay, so in terms of the preferred music streaming platform, for visually impaired people, they found Spotify and Apple Music were the two top, and which makes sense because they had the best low vision aids on there in terms of voice recognition. They can just say stop music, play music, reverse music, shuffle. These options were on there in comparison to some of the other music streaming platforms, and they're quite popular streaming platforms, so it makes sense in terms of their marketing wise. 47% of the participants use some sort of Alexa, Google Play, Amazon Echo was one of the most popular ways to listen to music, followed by their smartphones, using their phones, and then we had the iPads and desktop, which was less than 15% in both cases. in terms of what music genre was rated as most relaxing and uplifting, that was a bit sparse in terms of the results. People had multiple genres. Not everyone had just had one specific genre they love. Somebody may have liked to listen to musicals, but then they also had a taste for classical music as well. So it was a bit of both. So we found we couldn't really categorize people to say that classical music is the most uplifting, because music is so individual, so personalized. I think we know that, and I think this particular study definitely confirmed that particular finding. So in terms of changes between the groups, we found that from baseline to post-intervention in both groups, the music listening and the mindful music listening, you could see that their depression scores, anxiety, stress scores had significantly reduced. But then we found after 3 months of not listening to their daily music, there was a relapse. So I think that was pretty much intuitive that if we stop listening to music, we will have a relapse. So music is a daily dose that we must implement. So I think I briefly touched upon this in terms of why people didn't complete the diary log. It was just mainly time constraint, inconvenience, burden of stress. So the way that these results were found was through thematic analysis, and the data was transcribed, coded, and categorized into specific themes for the descriptive analysis, and that was based on word and topic recognition. So that was the way of analysis we used. So just to give you a bit of a word cloud of what people found most enjoyable about the intervention, it was relaxing, calming, it was tailored, it was therapeutic, so those were some key words. In terms of what people least enjoyed about the intervention, it was advertisements. Because we were lack of funding, we couldn't get them all free platforms of Spotify, of Apple Music, so they had ads, which interrupted their music listening, which was a shame, but I mean, that's the way it was. But people overall still enjoyed the intervention. And then why people didn't complete the diary log, like I've already mentioned, just difficulty, time constraint, recognition, the diary log wasn't really opening very well for some people. Okay, so in terms of analysis and conclusions, we know that a remotely delivered music intervention is acceptable and is feasible in the visually impaired population. However, a few tweaks and adaptations would be needed to make it a little bit more accessible, so especially in terms of how the data is gathered with the diary log. We also found that the treatment, adherence, and fidelity, there was a limitation to completing the surveys. So that would be something that we need to look at. And then if I just jump on to recommendations. So what would be nice to do in future research is to explore trends of personal music experience, looking at more physiological parameters, so blood rate, heart rate, those would be really good ones to actually do whilst people are listening to music. And then the last one will be looking at neuropathways in the brains of people with vision impairment to see how their brain is actually reacting to music. So putting them on EEGs and having the
fMRI.
fMRI, there you go.
fMRI.
And having a look at how their brains react differently to a sighted person. Is there any neural pathway differences between the two groups? That's never been done before, so that will be something really interesting to do. Some references, and thank you for listening. No questions?
Congratulations.
First of all, you are in terms of like what leads to the vision impairment, or just like how to treat people with vision impairment.
Sorry, I didn't really
In
understand.
any of your research, have you done any work on what causes vision impairment for people who have their vision and they just lose it, or it was just in terms of like the after effects of how that you treat one?
Yeah, so we weren't really looking at what causes the vision impairment. It was just like we get these people who have lost their sight through macular degeneration, through glaucoma. These people have now lost their sight. Now we're looking at the rehabilitation side of things. So we just grouped them all together to say that if you've progressively lost your sight and you're struggling with seeing things, then come into this group. In terms of treatment or why they've lost their sight, that wasn't something that the study looked at.
Okay.
Yes, we will.
Go ahead.
Oh, me? Okay. So have you thought about maybe expanding it to K-12, school-age children, younger children?
Yeah, so at the moment with younger children, there's a lot of interventions out there for under the age of 12, key stage 12. So they are implementing a lot of music therapy. They're doing a lot of improvisation. So music is already part of their whole holistic approach in helping them with their sight loss. Whereas people who have lost their sight later in life, that particular subgroup has been neglected. It's not a group people really think about. They just think about mobility straight away. They don't really think about mental health. So that was the reason why we've looked at this particular subgroup. So that's where the gap in the knowledge was, especially in the United Kingdom, where I'm conducting my research.
Yes. So I used, because music is also my background, at one time I was teaching 15 classes in primary school, and I had 5 classes, not of ADD or ADHD children, but of autistic children and severely developmentally delayed children. All of those children in the classes that came responded much better to teaching following music therapy.
That's exactly it. So a lot of the literature I found with younger children, they found that the children who listened to music and played were much more cognitively developed than those who just played without the music. And especially when you've got learning disabilities, you're neurodivergent. Music is such a powerful tool in helping calming their nerves down, especially when they're quite agitated. So listening to the right music as well. So if you are someone if someone does have ADHD, you want to be listening to more instrumental music, calming music that doesn't have any words, so it doesn't actually elicit any specific emotions. So that's the music you want to be focusing on for that particular neurodivergent group. Yes.
I just want to compliment you for your research and your work.
Absolutely. Very well done. Bravo.
Yes. With Alzheimer's becoming more prevalent now, your research is going to be able to help assisted living facilities, for them to know, this is something that is really great that will not only help to calm them, but will also help to excite them in a stimulating way to go about being more useful in, their living facilities and with interacting with everyone.
Absolutely. So if I can share a story, I don't know if I've got time to share. Okay. At lunchtime, I will share a story of my grandfather who had Alzheimer's and how we used music to control his agitation. So I'd love to share that story. So if you want to come listen to me, I will tell you all about it.
So I would now like to introduce Vani Moodley. She is the Chief Executive at Vani Moodley & Associates, a global entrepreneurship, management, and leadership and employee wellness training, consulting, coaching, and development company. She has 30 years of experience in the respective sectors and has held national leadership positions in various institutions, Independent Business Enrichment Center, founded and directed Vuki Uzathi and Institute for Gender and Economic Development, and served on various boards, including past chairman and founder member of Women Building Our Africa Financial Services Primary Cooperative, licensed by the Reserve Bank of South Africa, past vice president of the Durban Center of Commerce and Industry, and past chairman, Durban, and member of the National Board of Business Women's Association South Africa. She has traveled, networked, and presented conference papers and trained in 28 countries and 4 islands in the world, and has provided services to clients such as SEDA, the DT, and the GTZ, now GIZ, Oxfam America, the International Labor Organization, the World Islamic Economic Forum, the Government of Nigeria, and the World Bank International Finance Corporation, Global Training and Development Specialist and Consultant for Workplace Options, a global employee assistance provider, training senior leaders, managers, and executives for multinational companies online and face-to-face. She actively fosters international trade links between South African and global businesses. Vani Moodley is speaking on illuminating the truths to turn the tide.
I must say, after listening to the youth, I'm feeling slightly intimidated. I don't think I'm going to have that level of energy and enthusiasm, so please bear with me, and well done, Nirbanu. That was amazing.
Amazing.
Great. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to be as precise as I possibly can. And the information I'm about to share with you is basically based on my 30 years of experience of working with men and women, in particular women leaders, women entrepreneurs, and some of it extends globally. And I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to get submissions from women all over the world to basically contribute to the book that we will be launching later on. So I'll tell you more about the book later, but I'm going to just announce some of the findings as we progress. So the first statement I'd like to make is that women leaders and entrepreneurs have made incredible strides in the business and corporate world. And as a result, women have had a myriad of experiences in their growth process. And I think if we went through a little focus group session here, a lot of what I'm about to share will emerge as well. So the World Economic Forum in 2021 estimated that the world will take approximately 130 years to achieve gender parity, 38 years. And that was also exacerbated by gender-based violence, patriarchy, and the COVID pandemic. When I looked at these stats about 5 years ago, it was sitting at 85%. So it's not improving, it's actually retrogressing. Okay? And other studies taken by organizations like the Business Women's Association in collaboration with US organizations came up with similar kinds of results. So it can be validated. So in addition to experience in training, mentoring, coaching, and serving on various boards, the research has been conducted with women leaders and entrepreneurs over the 30 years. And to extend the findings, a call for submissions was circulated to business institutions and women's organizations in different parts of the world. So we received 20 submissions from women in 6 different countries in the world. And some of them, of course, also emanated from the conference in Rome. And I have quite a significant number of women in Egypt who contributed as well. And it's amazing the kind of work that they do there is in terms of women empowerment. So some of the countries, the 6 countries are South Africa, Egypt, India, the United Kingdom, USA, and Argentina. And the similarities in the stories are quite uncanny. So this study drew comparisons and extracted common themes, explored and interrogated solutions to turn the tide for future women leaders and entrepreneurs, and will basically explore the scope for future research. Just to give you a heads up, and I'm coming to that in a bit, 22 themes were derived out of the 20 submissions. And the occurrence of the themes and the frequency of the occurrence was quite astounding. So for true gender parity to be achieved, women leadership must be authentic with unbiased reflection and introspection at multiple levels. And this can be achieved in addition to addressing issues like gender-based violence and, of course, patriarchy, which are key debilitating factors. So the call for submissions focused on the following factors. We wanted people to contribute their real experiences, not things that they've heard of from other people. We wanted them to basically share with us how they've confronted their fears with courage. And whilst you had some issues coming up in terms of the negative impact of specific types of leadership styles, you had a lot of positive feedback on how women leaders have influenced other women to basically grow and aspire to what they wanted to achieve. And of course, we need to look at admirable leadership styles, ethical and inclusive leadership, and the duty of care that we all have as leaders. It's got nothing to do with women only. Men in leadership also have a duty of care to the people that they lead. So I also highlighted the concept of bullying by women against other women, more because I had some personal experiences. As soon as 2 years ago, as recently as 2 years ago, which I consider myself to be an empowered woman, quite experienced, able to manage personalities, and there it was, boom in my face. And of course, all that it does to you in terms of making you doubt yourself and your own ability to lead. And of course, authentic leadership is always about being real and true to the situation. It doesn't matter if there's friendships, we all create friendships, but when we're sitting on a professional platform, it is my duty as the chairman of the organization to ensure that ethical governance takes place. And if that upsets you, unfortunately, you have to deal with it. Yeah. So, and I thought, why aren't women talking about this? We have been so caught up with talking about the patriarchal society and fighting for gender parity in the world that we are too afraid to talk about the real issues we're experiencing as women leaders by and from other women leaders, because we're too afraid of widening this gender gap, this gender parity. But what does this mean for the future generation of women leaders going forward? What is the precedence that we're allowing to pass us by without saying anything? You know, for years on end, my mentors, who am I very close to, and both of them are men, would always say to me, women can't work together, you know. And I used to challenge it. I used to challenge it quite significantly until I had the experience that I did, Dana. And and I actually had to bring on board two men to basically calm the situation down on a board. And it worked.
Testosterone versus estrogen.
So I needed to temper the estrogen with testosterone
Absolutely. It's the only thing that
in
works.
order to cut through the bullshit, as one may say. So pardon my language.
That's exactly right.
So these are some of the realities that we have to acknowledge. Yeah? Why aren't we being real about it? It does need it sometimes. Yeah? So, of course, mental wellness and optimal performance levels. What happens to your mental wellness when you're being bullied? I mean, I couldn't focus on my work, and this was a voluntary position. I couldn't, I was calling the head of risk, and I was saying to him, this is my thoughts. What do you think? I was calling my mentors and saying, where have I faulted here? So they make you doubt yourself when all you're doing is following proper governance and ethical procedures. So the 22 themes that have emerged, and they can be collapsed into each other, there are lots of common threads. And what I say is that mental wellness happens to be a common thread that runs through everything, ultimately. So power, an enabler and disruptor, and that came out quite prominently in most of the submissions. Corruption, a view on ethics and governance. Of course, mental wellness is a cross-cutting theme. The leadership styles of women with an emphasis on authoritarian and narcissistic leadership styles. The importance of mentorship and coaching. Create an enabling environment for women to grow. Become fearless women leaders of substance and integrity. Make a difference to your community. Operate at your optimal potential and facilitate the same in your team. And identify the leaders and nurture them without prejudice. Recognize and reward star performers in your team. Create awareness of your services. Rape, a weapon of war. One of the contributors was involved in the Tamil Elam movement, and she's of British origin, married to a Sinhalese, and basically visited Sri Lanka and looked at how women came together to support the victims of rape as a weapon of war, how they set up orphanages to basically take care of the children of soldiers who had fallen. So these are some of the amazing things that women are doing all over the world. Traditional gender stereotypes still powerful in male-dominated sectors. And high rate of resignations from women leaders. And that's an interesting one because, about 5 years ago, I found an article in the newspaper that basically spoke to the concept of women in high-ranking senior executive positions are starting to resign from their positions, especially those who were mothers. And it's just that because of the demanding job, they're realizing how they're missing out on the the growth process of their children. And that's upsetting them greatly. So they may be stay-at-home dads, but they're really missing out. And of course, the stress and the strain and managing multiple roles, etc. Peer learning, raising women's awareness of empowerment, the need for economic independence, the need for community mobilization to recognize women's empowerment, and of course, a strong message from everybody: women, live your dream now. Don't wait. And men and women lead and experience leadership differently. The impact of social perspectives and socialization on women's leadership styles, you know, and of course, skills development for thriving leaders and women entrepreneurs must be prioritized. Just a very important point when mentorship came up. The one thing that featured very prominently was that mentors are happy to mentor the younger women coming into a corporate or a government institution. And they feel comfortable because they're not a threat to them. But with the much older women, they kind of try to avoid that mentorship and coaching, or don't do it as they should. Very interesting, because they're more of a threat to them. And interestingly, I think all of the people who have submitted are over the age of 40. I did invite youth, but nobody wanted to kind of put their head on the block and share their experiences. I had 2 anonymous contributors because these were quite hectic situations, and one is still in the employ of the organization, where she was bullied by her immediate manager. So, and now, of course, the manager was changed, but it was in a social worker's environment where there should be a sensitivity to bullying and these kinds of leadership related issues. And she didn't realize that she was being bullied until one of her colleagues said to her, "But how does she talk to you like that? Does she do that all the time? Why is she bullying you?" And you know, she was just withdrawing and withdrawing and withdrawing, and kind of felt that she eventually lost her voice, because no matter what she said, it was going to be the absolute wrong thing that she would say. So she just withdrew into herself, you know, and she was going through this almost mental withdrawal from her job, from her family and everything. And then when somebody just said that to her, it kind of dawned on her, wow, why didn't I realize this? I'm a social worker, for heaven's sake. So irrespective of the profession, when it happens to you, you don't realize it's happening until you're quite down the line in that experience. So the book that we're about to launch this afternoon has just focused on 3 themes, because as you can see, 22 themes is quite a handful to go through, and it's quite packed in terms of the meaning behind each of those themes and the issues behind each of those themes. So the book basically focused on power and enabler and destructor, corruption, a view on ethics and governance, and the leadership styles of women, authoritarian and narcissistic leadership styles. And of course, mental wellness was identified as a cross-cutting theme. So I'm going to talk to about 2 of them because I know I have limited time. Mental wellness. So according to Beth McGrathy, in her industry research entitled Defining Mental Wellness versus Mental Health in 2021, she said mental wellness is an internal resource that helps us think, feel, connect, and function. It is an active process that helps us to build resilience, to grow and flourish. And I basically reflected on Corey Key's Mental Health Continuum from 2002, where we speak to the X and Y axes on the optimal well-being on the vertical axis, with on the top at minimal well-being at the bottom. And on the right of the horizontal axis, you would have maximum mental illness and minimum mental illness. So if you're experiencing optimal well-being and minimum mental illness, you can flourish without mental illness. If you're experiencing minimum mental illness and minimum well-being, you can languish without mental illness. And this is almost, you know, you have phrases like quiet quitting and so on. You would have people in that particular space where they feel they've spoken and nothing's happened, so they just kind of quit quietly and just get on with what they're supposed to do, producing the bare minimum without operating at their optimal potential. And one can describe that as someone who's languishing, right? Minimal well-being and maximum mental health illness the person can languish with mental illness, and that is when there's no self-care, perhaps no diagnosis, no medication, and any other form of support somebody in that space would have. Maximum mental illness and optimal well-being, the person can flourish despite mental illness with the right kind of care. And this is a surprising factor to most people, even HR heads at multinationals. They love this continuum. They just think that it is the strongest and the most powerful message we could send out as to how, when one takes care of themselves, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and medically, you can actually flourish with mental illness. So what? Given the context of mental wellness and mental illness, the critical question arises: are women leaders of the current era aware of mental health?
Great question.
The importance of it, techniques and strategies to maintain wellness, mental wellness. At what point does the accumulation of ongoing stress, balancing these multiple roles and self-care become a priority in our lives? We're too busy being busy to worry about ourselves, and that's the reality. Is there sufficient introspection on how one's mental wellness can impact teams, colleagues, family? As soon as those words leave our mouths, there may be regret, but the impact has already happened. Yeah. So these are some of the things that we need to become more aware of and be more in tune with. So Workplace Options, the company that I work with, together with a few of us, have come up with the stress and anxiety scale. It's the 7-point scale which represents how the team member is managing the anxiety they're experiencing. So we train executives, leaders, managers, and we basically also kind of get them to empower them or provide them with skills to identify what's going on for people on their team and be able to provide the necessary support through relevant interventions as they see fit. So we have classified the reaction from 1 to 7. So the reactions to the VUCA world, VUCA stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, and that was a term coined during the USSR, one of the wars, and of course talking about the complex environment and nature of the environment in which, or the economy, the environment, the political arena in which they were operating at that particular time. And during COVID, this term came to the fore in terms of the complexity and the multiplicity of issues that were compounded at that particular point in time, which exacerbated what was going on in the environment in which we were operating. So their reaction is mild to moderate. Coping strategies coping strategies are to manage the feelings. 2, they're managing anxiety most of the time. They very quickly regroup without visible indicators should there be stress or trauma or any occurrences that occur in their lives, whether it be personal or professional. So in that particular instance, we advise the leaders to sense and shield and be able to support people by just asking the questions: are you okay? How are you doing? You know, and also encouraging them to sometimes go for counseling or debriefing sessions just to come to terms with what's going on around them. And of course, as we know, in some cultures it's taboo. You're considered to be cuckoo and crazy if you're seeing a counselor or a psychiatrist. In other cultures, if you don't have one, there's something wrong with you. So we deal with a varied range of people. And of course, we have to accommodate all of that. So 3, 4, and 5, we're basically moving into the yellow-amber zone, where feelings of anxiety increase periodically. They feel restless, overwhelmed, attempts to manage their daily work is limited. Sorry, this seems to have slipped a bit. Then 4, feelings of anxiety continue to increase, and signs of anxiety on most days and physical symptoms appear. Occasional physical symptoms along with emotional symptoms appear in 5. And of course, there's occasional difficulty in performing work. And once they move into the orange zone, you would see that both emotional and physical symptoms are showing up. They're no longer effectively managing anxiety. They're showing signs of fatigue and diminished performance at the workplace. And of course, the last is employees showing signs of exhaustion, apathy, and disengagement, and you would find that at that particular point. So if you looking at Sense and Shoe for 1 and 2, you're looking at supporting and signposting. Most of the companies have employee assistance programs, so they're able to refer people to that, but those who don't, and it's also for the leaders themselves to be aware of what's going on for them, right? And reaching out and getting some kind of support to signpost them to the resources that are available in and around or within the company or outside the company. And of course, once they move into zone 6 and 7, they need more support and they need assistance to strategize, to draw up an action plan. And there needs to be closer monitoring, even if it means that the leader has to take the initiative to make the contact with the EAP program in order to effectively support them. So Petrina Coventry indicates that abusive people gain and maintain power over their victims with controlling or coercive behaviors, subjecting that person to psychological, physical, sexual or financial abuse. I think it's a well-known fact also that young women are under pressure to perform sexual favors, and that goes unspoken of, okay? And that's another stressor and issue of anxiety. In terms of leadership styles, whilst many women leaders in their submissions confirmed that they generally admired women's leadership styles, many also indicated that they had some challenging encounters that negatively impacted their mental wellness and performance. So the authoritarian and narcissistic leadership styles were identified as challenging leadership styles to deal with. And when we spoke about authoritarian, it's also known as autocratic. Leadership is a management style in which individuals have total decision-making power and absolute control over their subordinates or their employees. And the purpose of the autocratic leadership style is to establish centralized control and use that to achieve desired results. And narcissism, which is really gone unnoticed for many, many years and starting to emerge as quite an issue of concern right now, was Robert Wilder was first to conceptualize this in 1925 as a personality trait, and his definition described individuals who are condescending. They feel superior to others, are preoccupied with admiration, and exhibit a lack of empathy. And Sigmund Freud in 1914 published his theory of narcissism, where he postulated that all humans have a level of narcissism. This is very interesting from birth, but the human mind is designed to basically evolve from that. And the narcissistic behavior pattern perpetuates when that evolution doesn't take place, from being self-absorbed to being more family-oriented, and that's where it should stay. But then they slip back into becoming self-absorbed. So that's a very interesting concept. So some recommendations to current and future leaders. Some of this has come from the ladies, the submitters, and there was some interesting, information that basically came through as lessons, real lessons, not from textbooks, real lessons that they've learned. Have clearly defined rules and processes. Under an autocratic leader, no team member has the final say, whether on a critical business decision or how the company is run. So when roles, rules, and processes are clearly defined in the leadership arena, things tend to run smoothly and efficiently since one person is making all those decisions, but there's no buy-in from the team. So there's a recommendation that there's a suggestions box, but if that is not looked at, it becomes a futile experience. Some recommendations to deal with the narcissistic boss, and I've listed a 10 there. Remind yourself of your value, compliment them frequently, keep a paper trail, network for yourself, get outside support, take time for reflection. Remember who you're dealing with, diversify your work experience or role, develop a strategy, and consult a labor law expert. So people may have narcissistic behavior patterns, and that translates into narcissistic leadership styles. So it's interesting that narcissism is actually also classified as a leadership style. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, and happy to talk about it.
Okay, thank you, Ivani. It's now time for our morning tea break. So I'd like to invite you all to the Salt Marsh Room, where you can help yourselves to tea, coffee, and refreshments. Please be back here at 11:30, where we will start the next session.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Wani Manley, and I will be your MC for this session. And it is now time for the keynote address, and we have two lovely ladies from Florida. Whoop, whoop. We have Professor Angie Sue, who is a professor with the Department of Education at the Abraham S. Fisher College of Education and School of Criminal Justice. She was honored with the President's Distinguished Professor of the Year Award from 2017-2018. Dr. Sue is the creator of Project Mind, registered. Math is not difficult. A K-12 mathematics enhancement project currently being implemented in classrooms throughout the United States. She is the past president of the Florida Distance Learning Association and the president of the Florida Association of Mathematics Teachers Education, FEMT. She is also a Florida Mathematics Standards Framers and Writers team member. Dr. Sue has received numerous awards and recognitions, including the prestigious Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching from the National Science Foundation, the William T. Dwyer Award for Excellence in Teaching, Palm Beach Elementary School, the State of Florida's Little Red Schoolhouse Award for Distinction Award for School Principals for Project Mind, and the Women of Distinction Award from the Surreptimus, thank you, International.
Sir Optimus.
Thank you. Professor Angie Sue is assisted by Dr. Gia Bora. Dr. Gia Bora received her doctoral degree in education leadership in May of 2012. Dr. Bora serves as a faculty member at NSU's Abraham S. Fisher College of Education and School of Criminal Justice. She has over 20 years of classroom teaching experience and holds national board certification. She teaches multiple courses in education at the undergraduate, master's, and educational specialist level in the areas of curriculum and instruction, teacher, and educational leadership, and early childhood education. Areas of research include early childhood, elementary education, STEM education, teacher leadership, bullying, and emotional resilience. Dr. Sue and Dr. Gia Bora are talking on STEM research and awareness. Welcome, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hard to believe that picture of Gia is like 20 years of experience when she looks like she's 20.
Yeah, she does. Exactly.
Well, there is an increased attention in the STEM field in the United States, actually. The reason for that is because whoever goes into this field actually has a better opportunity in jobs, all different areas of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So years ago, I decided to look into why the women in the science field are being underpaid, because my own daughter, who's a faculty member over at the University of Arizona, she and her husband were both hired at the same time, but his salary is higher than hers. And so she was pretty upset the inequality there with female and the male. So I'd like to piggyback on your presentations on, the equity for female, for women in the world, and so on. So what we did is we started with the STEM research in middle schools, trying to inspire more of the females into the field of STEM so that they become interested when they go to college, that they will choose to go into these fields. So we did a pretty successful intervention in the middle schools. Then the following year, we decided to move into high school, those students who are closer to graduation, so that they will then sign up to go into the STEM field. And we were very fortunate to be funded by our university's president to do research in this area. So we have 2 back-to-back grants to study the STEM education for the girls in the middle and the high school. So the most current one that we did was with the girls in the 9th grade. We worked with a local public school with 37 female girls, and they did a pretty, let me backtrack. When we did the middle school, we actually hired local scientists to come in and did demonstrations and little projects with these girls. But then I think to myself, at the university, at our university, Nova Southeastern University, we have all experts in the field in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Why not we invite our own faculty to come in as expert in the fields to present? So we did just that. So we kind of changed our study a little bit. And so Gia is going to share with you a little bit about our university since our time is limited. We're going to talk about our current study, and then we'll go into a little bit of the math that we did for the children with autism, and then we'll play a little game, and hopefully we keep everything within 20 minutes.
So I've had a few people ask about our university. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about Nova Southeastern University. It's located in sunny South Florida. The main campus is in Fort Lauderdale, but we do have 8 campuses throughout the state of Florida, Puerto Rico, and 1 in Denver. So we are a private, not-for-profit institution. We do have undergraduate and graduate programs. One of the things that we're known for is the small class sizes. So approximately 17 to 20 students in our undergraduate and graduate programs. We offer courses both in person and online, depending on what the program is. We do have 14 different colleges at NSU. And we are one of 4 universities in the United States that offer both the MD and the DO medical programs.
That's a big deal.
Yes, and we have over 22,000 students. We have a lot of diversity on campus. We've got students from over 100 different countries. So we do have a lot of international students. Our current student body, you can see up there, we've got a little over 10,000 graduate students. So that's the bulk of our students. Over 6,000 undergraduate students, close to 5,000 professional. And we even have preschool through 12th grade on our campus as well, a private school. And more than 200,000 alumni worldwide. This is a few pictures of our campus. We're known as the NSU Sharks. And the top left picture is a picture of our library overlooking a beautiful lake. Just below that, on the left-hand side, is the Collaborative Research Center. So we do a lot of research within the medical fields. The picture on the top right is our student center. It's called the Don Taft Student Center. And then because we are the Sharks, the Shark Fountain is located out front, in front of the student center. So we're really blessed to have such a beautiful campus. We're going to jump into the first research study and then just give you a brief overview of some of the studies we've been doing the last few years. This is the one that Dr. Sue mentioned a few minutes ago. We wanted to bring the arts into STEM. So the title of our study, and we've written a couple of publications so far, is using hands-on experiences, including various forms of arts, to increase STEM interest in 9th grade females. We specifically chose a minority group. The school that we worked with was mostly Hispanic population. We had a team of 6 researchers and workshop presenters, all from NSU. So we kept it in-house. We have one instructor or one professor that had a background in art. So she really helped us bring in that arts and that creative piece into the STEM. Our research location, as she mentioned, was in West Palm Beach. It was a charter school, and in Florida, they receive funding from the state. So it's kind of a cross between a private and a public school. We used an instrument called the S-STEM, which measured students' knowledge and understanding and kind of their perspective of the different areas in STEM. And here's a picture of our team. So Dr. Williams in the middle there is she was an art teacher for many years. She brought in that creative arts piece. The professors, the doctors at the bottom, Dr. Garcia, Dr. Wang, and Dr. Sikora, their areas of expertise in order were biology, engineering, and physics. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you know us at the top.
Chemistry too.
Chemistry.
Yeah.
So very knowledgeable in the area. As Dr. Sue already mentioned, we had 37 students participate in this study, and these students were in 9th grade, so just beginning high school. We organized 15 different workshops for them, about an hour each. So we traveled to the school. It was about 45 minutes from our campus. It was always one of the workshop presenters and one of the researchers that showed up. At the very beginning of the study, we administered that STEM, and then at the end of the study, we did a post survey. Do you want to say anything about the format?
Right, so the questionnaire allowed the students to fill out before they have any exposure to our intervention. So it asked them whether or not they like certain subject areas and so on. I shared the paper with all of you that are in that group in case we don't have enough time to cover so you can read all the little details. Go ahead, please.
Okay, and here, these are just a few quotes about creativity, that piece that Dr. Williams brought in. I'm not going to read those to you, but we really thought that would engage the students and get them to kind of expand their thinking about STEM and the different possibilities that are available to them in the different professions linked to STEM.
So this is how it usually works. We're in the lunchroom, and Dr. Williams walked up to me and said, "Hey, I really am excited about what you guys are doing, Gia and you. I'd like to become your team." I go, "Oh, you're art, right? Okay, let me add the arts piece." And then from there, we just blossomed. That's how all the teamwork works. And then we got into research into that area and then added that component into it.
Yeah, we really made it a unique study with that aspect. So you can see this is in the lunchroom at the school. That was when we first met with the students. So Dr. Sue and myself and Dr. Williams are all there with the Slam girls. And I don't know if any of you all know Pitbull, but he's the founder of this school, Slam. And there's there are a lot of schools throughout Florida and across the United States that he started. So you can see some of the different workshop topics are highlighted and pictured there. We had an engineering and art workshop, botany, baking and chemistry, astrophysics and astrochemistry. They studied the connection between music and medicine. They made boba tea balls. We had Tai Chi and engineering, microbiology lesson where they were going around and swabbing different areas of the school and the bathroom.
Dr. Wang was asking, how am I supposed to teach science through Tai Chi? I said, you're a Tai Chi master there. So I gave him all the topics that he could cover, and he goes, I never thought of it like that. So then he began then to develop activities around those topics.
Fabulous.
Engineering, science, physics, especially he's good in physics and mathematics.
So a couple of the last ones were hydrophobicity and the benefits of exercise on medicine. We culminated the project or the study by having the students come to our campus. We gave them a tour. They got to walk through the labs, have lunch, hear from some of the students that were studying in the STEM field. So I think that was the highlight for them.
They loved it.
And then this was just a picture of some of the questions on the pre-survey.
That was on the instrument.
Post-survey, this is the STEM. So just an example, I believe I can be successful in a career in engineering. So they grouped engineering and technology and engineering as one area on the STEM, math, and then science. And then
Dr. Sue wanted to focus just specifically sharing a little bit of our results on the
Yes.
math because that's her area.
So what happened with this study is that the students that are in the study, chosen for the study, they are high-performing kids in science, math, and science.
Right.
So we really don't see too much of a difference because in the pre-survey, one of the questions is, are you good in math? All of them wrote yes.
They were very confident in their abilities. Yes.
So then at the end post, of course, there's no increase because they already are very good in math.
But what's interesting about this is that you had 70% Hispanic.
Correct.
So did you figure that into the findings at all?
Yes, so in
And
my
how-
paper, in
how-
our paper
in your
that I
paper.
share, you guys
Okay.
can read all the details.
Okay.
So
great.
not only that Hispanic, we also have
20%
African American kids.
African-American.
So we have maybe one white. I'm not
You
sure.
said
I think most of
12%.
them are all.
12 to 14%.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, yes.
I want to ask that is there any synchronizing feature with Bloom's revised technology that's following the, 6 categories of Bloom's taxonomy? Are you satisfied with that or?
Well, yeah.
We
that's
incorporated
very
that into the workshops. We incorporated Bloom's taxonomy into the
Okay.
workshops, not necessarily into our findings, if that's what you're asking. Yeah.
Right. We use actually several instruments, different instruments to see which one fits in better, and so on. So this was it.
And like she just mentioned, because they were already pretty self-confident in their abilities, we found that their abilities and feelings toward the STEM fields were pretty similar. They remained the same. So we did this study. We're just going to give you a brief overview at our preschool on campus back in 2018. So this was just before the pandemic. Our study got stalled a little bit because of the pandemic. So we targeted students that had autism, ages 3 to 5. The curriculum focus at the school was receptive and expressive language concepts as well as academic skills. So we used a quasi-experimental pre-test, post-test design, and we compared the effectiveness of 2 different interventions. So what was already being implemented at the school as far as their math instruction, and then the one that Dr. Sue invented, Project Mine.
So about 40 years ago, I know I'm not that old looking, but about 40 years ago, I have little kids at home, and I said one of my objectives is to make them geniuses. I want them to excel in school, be number 1 and everything. So I decided to, create some activities just to play with them at home. And then I got really bored staying at home. So then I said, let me go and try to teach. So I walk up to the first school and show them my resume, and he goes, "You're hired." School parent told me immediately. So you're hired. And then when I went up to the school district office, they asked me, which one of the schools you want to teach? They made me choose because you're so overqualified, you could teach anything. So I said, oh, okay, I want to teach the most difficult school here.
Right.
Because that's what you can show an improvement. That was how I was thinking, show improvement. So I brought that teaching strategy for my kids into that school. And these kids, 95% of them were on free or reduced price lunches, and they grew up with single parents.
Yeah.
So they don't have a mom or dad, and maybe extended family like grandma and stuff. And some of them, the parents are in jail, and these kids will get up and say, if you don't know me, my mom's brain was shut out by my dad in front of me.
Yeah.
I thought they were joking when they were telling me all that story. It was very sad. And then, so of course, it impacted their academic progression. And so then I was showing them all the neat stuff, and they would do all these amazing math at a very high level. And so we have visitors, like mayors and stuff, come into our classroom, and they go, these kids are just memorizing answers, right? I said, no, let me show you what they can do. So I took them on the road on conferences, and they were showing off their math skills, these kids. And so pretty soon, okay, 5 minutes left.
I think we're going to have to skip the hands-on.
Yeah. So, no, the hands-on is very fun. You're going to love. But so then, so these kids become very successful, and then I have the high performing kids parents complain and say, I want our kids to be part of that too. So pretty soon it became a district-wide project, and then a statewide, and then a nationwide, and so on and so on. Yes, and so when I brought it to, I look at all the children I serve, I go, special education is the group that I have not touched. Let me go with the gifted and the autistic kids and so on. And I know that my colleague, esteemed colleague here, she's a master teacher. I said, hey, would you like to be part of this project? And of course, she always says yes to me.
She's hard to say no to.
She's irresistible.
She's my partner in crime. Anyway, so I know we are out of time. That's why I shared the two papers with you.
But hold on, we have a couple more slides to go through before.
You talk, and then I'll pass out this thing.
So, as she mentioned, we had one curriculum implemented in one classroom and then Project Mine in the other. The students that were given the Project Mine curriculum made more gains than the regular curriculum that they had used. Do you want to talk about a couple of these real quick?
Oh yeah, and then it went actually internationally. It went to China. The Project Mine was in China. It was in Shenango. It was
Taiwan.
in Taiwan. It was in several countries internationally. They were very impressed by it. And at first, when we got a grant from Jiang Jingguo Foundation to do it in Taiwan, because in Taiwan, children who have autism, they kind of
like
hide
shunned
into the closet because the parents feel embarrassed to have a child that is special needs, so they don't tell people. So when we brought our project in, we have to actually went all over the island to recruit our participants, because these parents are in. I have videos that I can show you how incredible these children perform after they were exposed to the mathematics and so on. So here's some slides. I was the keynote here in Chongqing Normal University, working with their teachers and so on. They put a big billboard out for me and so on. So let's look at this piece of paper. What shape is this? Rectangle. How do you know it's rectangle?
That's the shape. Yeah.
It's not square.
1 minute.
So you're saying is because it's what?
We've been taught the rectangle in the school.
So you're saying that a rectangle is
two long sides, two short sides.
all right. So I'll accept that explanation since we're running out of time. So now, take this. I want you to find a way to make this piece of paper turn into a square. Those of you that are folding like this, you know you're not going to get a square because you're going to get another rectangle.
Pretty close.
Yeah. That's
How about
still a
this?
rectangle. Really? That's still a rectangle.
Dr. Sue, what about this?
That's
Close.
still a rectangle. The only way to prove that this is not a rectangle is what Angelica is doing right now. That's your Angie square.
It's Angie Square.
I'm telling you. Show them what you did.
I folded this corner up to here to make it a
Exactly.
square, and folded this corner down.
So how do you know then this is a square?
All sides are
all sides are
equidistant.
equal. So now you just proved that all sides are equal to be equal to be a square. So now take that little additional slip of paper, rip that out. I mean, I would show students how to do that. And then you got only a square left.
This is the last one, Andrew. We're out of time.
Yeah, we're out of time. It's okay.
Do you want him to do anything else?
Don't worry about lunch. This is spring food.
We had enough cookies.
We had a couple of more, but we're out of time, so maybe later. Did anybody have any final questions? Okay.
You want to continue on this one?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, they want to continue.
What do you do with that?
All right, so the square you have now, I want you to now create 12 squares out of that. How do you? So those of you might say, it's not possible. So then you just divide 16.
Thank you, Dr. Sue, and thank you, Dr. Bohr. That was excellent. I would now like to
They still thinking.
invite Dr. Michelle Nemec to the front. Dr. Michelle Nemec is a change maker who not only
Sorry, I talk minimally, it's fine.
Dr. Michelle Nemec is a change maker who not only changes those around her, but reinvents herself through using mindset and EQ skills. All the way from Australia, Dr. Michelle Nemec is a compelling and unforgettable speaker who's known for inspiring others. As a keynote speaker, she has addressed audiences across several continents. She will soon have earned her 6th degree, and her PhD investigated the role of emotional literacy in stakeholder well-being. She is an author and an educationalist, a law graduate and an MBA student, as well as a marathon runner and ocean swimmer who will swim around the Greek islands next year. Her experience in education, executive coaching, and business set her apart as a lifelong learner and a person chasing adventures. Dr. Michelle Nemec, our student speaker, is talking on Reboot, Rebound, and Recoil, the role of resilience for individuals and organizations in the COVID-19 pandemic. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, we've all come out of a really difficult period called the pandemic. There was loneliness, there was connection, there was grief and uncertainty and a feeling of being out of control. Having our freedoms curtailed came at a heavy toll. I was fortunate I found some ways to cheat. How did I cheat? Well, in Sydney, Australia, we had a 5-kilometre zone that we could go into. The ocean is less than 5 kilometres. And so every day a group and I, of women it was, swam in the ocean and we kept each other going. A male friend, a young friend, encouraged me to become a bikie. And so here I was going to bikie lessons on the other side of Sydney. This was all permissible. And then learning how to become a bikie, riding around in areas where others couldn't go. So I had a very fortunate experience, and I never dreamed of myself as a bikie. Really, I'm riding a Vespa. It's a scooter. I'm telling a half-truth. But the idea of doing something to break out of, the adversity and the heavy feeling and feeling that we just didn't know and being also fearful was exhilarating. And I actually purchased the Vespa. Not just writing, but purchasing. The context of what I'm presenting today, and look, I am cheating a little bit because I do have a PhD, but not so because I am still studying, and so I am a student. This is really, if you like, a mashup of those 3 areas of study. And I cannot go into detail and depth on the paper, but I'm just pulling out some points. The paper is there, and we can all look at it later. So I'm looking at the concept of resilience. And I'm sure there's a PhD in this, but it's a massive area. I'm looking at it from the individual perspective, from organisational and industry perspectives, and hope to give you some insight into some of my experience, but also what the research is saying most importantly. As an aside, during the pandemic, I actually did an informal observation about what was sustaining people, what they were finding difficult and how they got through it. I presented some of that last year in Paris. So that does inform what I'm saying as well. So this is really my personal experience and years and years and years of study. I don't intend to study formally at the end of the current degree, but we're all lifelong learners. And how exciting is it to be in Cambridge University? I'm honoured and thrilled. And to meet each one of you and feel your impact is a true privilege, so thank you. There is a point at which in a conceptual way, there's a point of juncture, if you like, between these areas. And I would call this a matrix. And as I researched and read the definitions in the literature, I found it really fascinating because in the personal area of resilience, Andrew Fuller, who is a preeminent psychologist in Australia, defined it as the ability to bungee jump through the pitfalls of life. And I love that definition. But I would actually argue that we don't just bungee jump and return to where we were, because if we think of the challenges we have, we go forward, whether it's our character or our morals or our ethics or what we will tolerate or what we won't. It actually takes us forward, and so it actually takes us beyond what we ever thought possible of ourselves. In terms of industry and organisations, it's quite a different phenomenon. It requires the business or the industry to absorb, but to retain what is their structure, their purpose, their function. And that again comes with a qualifier, because we know today that one thing is certain. If nothing else is certain, it is change, and it's the rate of change. And so, as I said last night, we need to get our shit together. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. So that we can adapt, pivot, and be ready for change. And I come to you today dressed courtesy of Air Italia. What a privilege. I certainly didn't see it coming. And I guess that has required me to find some resilience and dig deep. So here I am at my local beach. Since I finished my PhD in 2014, where I seriously didn't exercise for 8 years, because I was a mother of a young child. I started when he was 2. I was in executive roles in leading schools in Sydney, boarding schools. It took me 8 years. And at that time, I didn't realise I could multitask and do other things, very focused. When I finished, I promised myself I was going to challenge myself on a physical level, connect more to the community and get out there, get involved and do things. So I've taken up ocean swimming, ocean paddling, marathon running. I've now retired from marathon running. New York ended in a very serious injury. I actually had to walk the entire marathon.
Wow.
Yeah, not good. Taped up like I was going into war. 3 weeks before that marathon, I could not walk.
Wow.
I'm not lying. I could not walk. Anyway, I got through it. No more marathon running. I've done some singing and various things, and all of these, including the Greek islands next year, is with an amazing organisation, and you see it on my costume, Can2. So we raise money for cancer research, and we know how common that is. And here you see me at my local beach. This was before the event, and apart from my catastrophe with the luggage, the resilient aspect that came out from this event, apart from going into the scariest beach in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, most extreme rips, ocean conditions and wind conditions, on this day, I arrived there after looking at the beach the whole week and seeing the day before the beach was closed, turning up, most excited, I'm going to do this, I'm going to conquer my fears. About a quarter of the way through the event, you probably don't know what these are, but we have blue bottles. We have many things in Australia that cause us pain and grief. I started to realise I was getting bitten. So first time attacked and I ignored it, just keep swimming.
Is that jellyfish?
Yeah, it's a jellyfish with a long sort of spindle and it wraps around you, and if you try and pull it off, and the sting it gives you is a very severe burning sensation. I don't wish it on you. But I actually got attacked a third time, and at that point I did this, which means come help. So I had one wrapped around my arm. I have actual scars in here and across here. I had it on my shoulder and my back. And the guy on the surf ski and the person in the boat alongside, come on, get in, get in. I said, oh no. I could see the finish. And so I did finish. I was a bit worse for wear and went home and just lay on the lounge. But my point of this is, we don't know when adversity and resilience will find us. Mm-hmm. And it could be a physical situation, it could be emotional, it could be financial, it can be on many levels. But what we find is it boosts us up. Now I know I can get through that sort of adversity. So I'm looking to challenge myself in many ways. It is time to reboot, to rebound, and or to recoil. And there are some interesting phenomena that are going on at the moment that I will talk about. So on an individual level, this means looking at our well-being, our nutrition, our sleep, our hydration, and what we do with our lives. There are so many people I have spoken to who have decided to do something completely different. Even the man that I sat with on the plane on his way to Dublin to find himself said to me, I feel sad about what's happened to me in the last 2 years working from home. There has been bullying and there has been a very difficult time, and it started in the pandemic. So I'm going now to mix with the locals and find out who I am and what is the next chapter of my life. In New South Wales, many people have moved from Sydney into the regional areas because of working from home. So it's given us life choices and opportunities that just weren't there before. What it's given everybody is time. Time to work out who we are, and I hope you've done this because I have. Time to work out what we want to take from the experience, reinvent ourselves, what we hold as important. And as they say, let the little things just slide off us. Focus on what are the big issues. It's a different story in organisations and industry. They've had to do a hard pivot. There are so many businesses, as you would know, that have not got through the pandemic. Startups, local area shops. There's a lot of vacant areas around where I am. Businesses that just couldn't make it through. Some, of course, including where my sister works in Seattle, Amazon, you know, they're thriving. The online world of shopping and food delivery going very well. The in-house dining, etc., not so good. So the idea now is that in industry and organisations, there is more and more pressure for them to be able to adapt their business strategy, their organisation, the tools that they are using, because what the research is saying, the profit that comes, looking at all businesses across, is for a lesser period. And so there is a need to be able to do that hard pivot more often and more frequently, which I found an interesting phenomenon when I was reading to write this paper. What was the last experience that you had? Was it a relationship in terms of you're needing to dig deep on your resilience? Was it work? Was it family, financial, some social, emotional grief or whatever? Just take a moment to think about it. Did you reflect on what was happening to you physiologically? Were you aware? People are nodding. I'm speaking to a very particular group of people here. How did you reflect on that response? What did you learn and how did you evolve? I think that they are the key points, because every day we don't know what's going to happen. We do not know. We can choose how to respond. Without the social emotional skills, or as Martin Seligman has given us, positive psychology, PERMA, which is positive relationships, engagement, a sense of meaning and achievement. We can all look like this. We can choose this. Walk around, poor me, poor me. I prefer, and I can see from your faces, you prefer this, you know, the fist pump. Yes. So how do we get to that? Well, we need to develop from all of our experiences, our psychological assets. We need to keep developing our personal qualities, our attributes. We need a very strong network of relationships around us. And we need to take in check what is our internal self-talk. is it affirming or is it negative and destructive?
True.
And then how do we respond to the negativity and the toxicity around us?
Yeah.
My default is remove myself. I have no tolerance for this one.
He's so cute.
Yeah. So here are some things about resilience. I'm sure you've heard about this, but there are people who have just said, I'm pulling up tools. I don't want to just continue anymore. I'm going to become a slovenly slob. I reject this way of living. I don't want to work full time anymore. I'm going to retire early. I have other options. I don't need this corporate life. And there is something I've read that in the UK, obviously it's niche, but this slovenly slob concept has taken hold. And people are celebrating the slovenly slob. And at times we need to do this. In fact, I had a short stint last year experimenting with a friend. Let's try it for a few months to be slovenly slobs. So here's the marathon runner, the slovenly slob. So, lying around on the couch, staying in pyjamas, this sort of thing. My point is, there is a place for this. I don't know that I want to, I've gone back to getting up early, exercising, etc. for short periods. So it's really about being in touch with yourself, your needs, self-care, self-compassion, and taking action to address these things. So obviously, we need self-compassion. We need to get our brain into train to understand what resilience issues do to us. And one of the great things I've learned is through my no luggage, being vulnerable, it draws compassion.
Exactly.
And so thank you to those I've had the opportunity to discuss the issue with and the tips that you've given me. And it also brings out a sense of universality and empathy and all of this. And what it does, it actually enables us to see, oh my goodness, wow. Okay, I'm just going to stop when the 5 minutes is up. This is what happened to me at the last conference, but that's okay. What it does, it helps us to turn misadventure into the adventure. And I'm not sure that I thought quite deeply about this, I'm not quite sure that in every single situation there is a positive that we see at that moment. But when we can look back, we can celebrate something about the person. I'm thinking about death here when I say this. Or find something that challenged us and made us more than we are. So this grit to quit, I actually stated that to the gentleman on the plane when he said, I don't know whether I'm going to go back to work. I said, how long have you been there? And I said, no, give it up. It takes grit to quit. The notion of being complacent and in a rut and comfortable, I'm sure you are not in this group, but for the general person out there, they feel very comfortable. This is easy. And even if they know they should probably challenge themselves and make the move, they don't. They don't. Let it rot. In China, there is a generation of young people who are rebelling, and they're actually doing what they're calling a lying flat movement. So this is coming out of the pandemic, but it's also a protest against the communist regime. So these are, what the Chinese culture is, I don't need to tell you, high achieving, etc. So this has gained international attention. This young group of people in their 20s, mid-20s, who should be climbing their way up, who are saying no, and they actually are doing lying down. It's the same as the protest holding up a blank placard because they're concerned about repercussions. The other thing I think that the pandemic has done is enabled us to clean out. And I mean both in a physical sense, but also the mind, and perhaps some people, some relationships. It has unfortunately been a situation where pretty much everyone I've spoken to has lost some friendships, lost some relationships, lost some contact. And that's happened to me. And it's been very unfortunate. But holding those people very close who support us, I have probably 5, 6, 7. And I believe that's normal or average, whatever average is. But I believe in the physical sense, and it's ironic because I've just been on shopping sprees, which I don't do, but it's been guilt-free, purge and feel the surge. And so I'm not really talking about minimalisation, decluttering. I'm going heavy duty here. And I've been experimenting with this. So I have no jewellery. I own beautiful jewellery and I've kept a few pieces. The rest I've chosen not to have. I used to get my nails done and they were impeccable. So what I'm doing is just cutting back and keeping things for just in case or what if, or, any pictures or adorations or ornaments. I'm not doing this. My house, in a physical sense, is completely transformed. How do I feel? I feel free. I feel light. I feel no compulsion to go into shops at any time. So me coming here and going into shops is an unusual experience. Anyway, I encourage you to try some of this and just have things that are serving you in a particular way, that have a purpose and are functional. And there I stop. I thank you for your attention, and this is just the first part of what was a 3-part thing. I always tend to, overdo things, over-prepare, conscientious, 6 degrees, etc., etc. Anyway, it's been an absolute thrill and honour to be here, and how lucky are we in this post-pandemic world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Michelle Nemec, for that excellent presentation, which we can all, after the last 3 years, can say amen, right? And now it's my absolute pleasure to present to you Yannick Syed. Yannick Syed is the founder and the CEO of Chrysalis Women Empowerment, a certified master coach, facilitator, mentor, international speaker, and member of the International Society of Female Professionals. Yannick Syed provides life and career coaching, guiding professional women to get clarity, discover their innate talents and strengths to have the purposeful life and career they aspire to. Yannick Syed is talking on the experience of re-entry women in graduate school. Welcome to the stage. Thank you.
Well, I'm quite honored to be speaking after all these distinguished speakers. And I will piggyback on a lot of things that were mentioned before. So the experience of re-entry women in graduate school, you're probably wondering, what does that mean? And the reason I decided to research is because of my life experience. My background is in adult education. I was in the Navy for a while, and I worked over almost 2 decades in HR. And I started to notice that women, the disparity of women re-entering studies versus the younger employees and the older, the midlife women, including myself, because around the time of our research, I was re-entering at the graduate level. So the definition of re-entry women, and that's a term I didn't know was actually coined until I did my research. So the term re-entry women refers to women who are returning to studies after an extended period of absence, usually 5 years. And the returners is another term that's used to describe them. I find it difficult to pronounce for me, so I say re-entry. And for the purpose of this research, I decided to focus on women that are 40 years old and older, and are entering, not just re-entering school, but at the graduate level. I drilled down to that level. What I found out during my research, it was a literary research, very little was found. So that piqued my interest, and it's this field of interest that I have that I want to delve into in the future, and I'll tell you where I want to go at the end. So the number, it's astonishing, the number of women returning in studies at graduate level has been increasing continuously since 1984. Did you know that? So as of 2009, the National Center of Education Statistics, because there's not a lot of research, so it was in the late 2015 that I did my research. That was the closest data that I could get, and very vague. It has not been drilled in demographics, which I want to explore later on when I pursue more research. But since 1984, it surpassed the number of male entering graduate studies. And I did some research again quickly before the conference, and as of 2020, the National Center of Education Statistics said that the numbers increased even more. It's continuous, and 67% of graduate students enrolled are women. It has not broken down in the demographics. I'd like to find out, but just to know that 67% of new enrolled graduate students are women. Going back. And also, knowing we've talked about the different roles, the multiple roles of women, the challenge that they face. And that's one thing that piqued my interest in that research because of what I've observed in the workplace when it came to pursue graduate studies. For example, I worked in HR, and depending, if it was a younger woman or a male, they could submit this as part of their learning plan. It didn't seem to, not so complicated until you reach mid-career. And then they wanted to match the business plan. So personal development and growth was really focused on the company, not seeing the whole person. So that bothered me as a person to see this, because we know as we grow, as we get more skills, we expand and we have more to offer. So there was a very obtuse vision of training for mid-career women. Okay. So now the reasons why re-entry women pursue graduate studies, primarily vocationally oriented, we know that. To advance their career goals, like everybody else. To pursue a career change and seeking new opportunities. Another skill set, another feather in your hat. To be more marketable. And I want to qualify this. What I observed, let's say we were to hire someone, the graduate studies was always an asset. But more so for the women. When we talk about inequalities, it's like we have to stack up our qualifications to be recognized. And I was surprised to find this, that it was the case even in education. Anyway, so to find more satisfying or gain security in their field, as Parna mentioned, because when it comes to downsizing, the more you have to offer, the better your chance to be retained, especially when you're mid-career. Women also express the need for intellectual stimulation and personal fulfillment and personal growth. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I used the Maslow theory of needs framework to do my research. So women in midlife who pursue studies also do it for these two reasons. Because they want to provide for themselves. And when I say that, is that sense of autonomy, authority, independence. You're established. Because we know they're already working, so it is what they pursue. This is what it makes them feel. This is what they are accomplishing. An altruistic reason. As we know, most of us know, women, we are hardwired to be nurturers for the most part. So to ensure the welfare of others. The women in this middle stage of development have an interest in graduate study because they see how the education can contribute to the greater good of society, to leave a legacy for generations, to make the world a better place. Because as leaders, we are teaching the younger generation what can be accomplished. So that is the driving force, the reason why they go back. Motivation. So studies reveal that older women students have more motivation than younger female counterparts. Do you remember when you did your undergrad versus when you did the graduate school, when there was much more demands on you? How much better you were at being motivated, getting things done, finding time to do things, better time management, more focus. We don't just going through the motion. They are driven. There's a reason why. There's a purpose behind re-entering mid-career. As Thomas said, older women students perform better at a graduate level than when they were at the undergraduate level. And I remember, because I was a re-entry, and I went, my goodness, I'm good. It's just like, and also that's because they apply their life experience into their new careers as a student at graduate level. They become more disciplined and prepared than when they were younger. We know better. We have the life experience behind us. And that is a thing that I found was saddening me, is that it's not recognized what the mid-career, mid-life women have to offer. The attitude was more like, oh, well, why would I pay for training? She only has these years before. But what about mentoring the younger employees? If you would just look at the workplace. So that's something that there's still work to be done on that. Isopa Calbouret also noted that older students want to increase their qualification and broaden their knowledge as a means to gain and be recognized qualifications, so they have a positive effect on their future and their career. And when you say that you've done that, so it's a qualification, it's tangible. So when they see your resume, I'll say, oh, you got all this. It's like opening a door, and then it gives you a better chance to open more doors, And also, some older students are concerned about redundancy at work and feel that having a graduate degree can play in their favor. It's so true. When I worked in HR, that was always the fear. I had all this experience, but what else can I offer? There's the limiting beliefs. Also, they know they have an expiry date because that's how the corporate culture is. So they say, okay, I gotta have something else to offer. It's not the main reason, but that is something on the back of their head, redundancy. And I've seen it, and I'll share this with you. Yeah. Challenges. Midlife graduate students face many challenges as they are in a phase in their lives where they have multiple roles. For example, habitually they have a career, even if it has not been long, but they reach a point. They've had a career, they're not right out of school. They have a family maybe, or they're raising a nephew or a niece. Their responsibility for spouse or significant other. And also aging parents for whom they have to help provide care or take them to appointments. So this is a juggling of many responsibilities. Even with family, for example, even if the children are not little, they have practices you have to drive them to, or social events, or you're the social director. The special events do not end because you're at school. The holidays are still there, where the woman is responsible to make it happen, the meal, the feast. There's all this. We want to keep the status quo. We don't want to rock the apple cart. So the role conflicts is really the reality they face. Harmonious family relationship is very important, right? And life in studies is a constant balancing act. So to avoid conflicts within the family, they will opt to study part-time and prolong by the time it takes them to complete the program. That's often the case. They have all intentions to go back full-time, but priorities change, and in a matter to keep things balanced, this is what they have to do. Also feeling guilty for not being there for their family. And that's also something that's really hardwired in most women, is that we want to please everybody. We take care of ourselves last. And this is what that feeling comes back nagging. We know we shouldn't, but it comes back. And feeling that it is not enough time to meet all the responsibilities we talked about. So it's always in the back running process in the background as it's pulled through, pushed through. And financial responsibilities. But we know how much it costs to go to graduate school, so they might have a mortgage, or they might have a kid in college. Also, actually, I know a woman who finished a master's degree at the same time as her son. You know? And we have younger children. Some women push having children because of their career, so they might have younger children even though they're mid-career. So you have the daycare, being there on a certain time, being there for the children. So all these are responsibilities that most male graduate students would not have. Big challenge is that they don't have access to faculty and peers and guidance counselor as much as a student who's rolling from the undergrad degree right away, because they've been away for a while, so that connection isn't there. Also, they lack information on the resources that are available to them, or how to access it. So support is very important. We talked about support from their peers, family. That is very important in order to succeed in completing their programs and their success, and to have meaningful interaction with the content, the faculty, and classmates. We are a creature. We like to work in collaboration. We don't work in isolation, so that's important. And so, wrap it up. So I was talking about Maslow's theory of needs. I think everybody's familiar with that. And Maslow has been saying that once you reach a level, you've reached the goal for that level, you go to the next one, and so on. The 5 from the bottom to the top, which is the most complex needs. So we talked about women who were, their main reason was for vocational reason. And the second one was to have self-fulfillment. So those are the 2 motivators for the women re-entering at graduate level and mid-career. So that in the hierarchies, level 4, which is esteem, and level 5, self-actualization. So both needs are not done consequently, it's concurrently at the same time. This is what they want at the same time. And esteem needs relate to the sense of evaluation of oneself, self-respect, esteem, and so on, achievement. Self-actualization needs associated with the desire to reach one's full potential. And that's what we want, because once we reach our full potential, we talked about nurturing the legacy to make the world a better place. So the recommendations is that re-entry women it would be great for the university to have an orientation to have as much access to faculty and guidance counselor and have an orientation. Also to have information on a resource. Sometimes we know they're a resource, but how do you access it? It's not always clear. That's what the research shows. And also a peer mentoring program. That's what I thought should be done. Where a student of a later part of the graduate program would mentor the new re-entry graduate student. And what I would like to see, because what I found, there was so little information, there was very vague stats, numbers. I wanted to drill the different age group, also the diversity, how, the different ethnicity group. There is nothing. It was very global. So that tells me there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and that's my purpose. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Yannick Siet, for that very insightful and important presentation. I certainly learned quite a bit that I had not considered for women re-entry into graduate school. And now I have the pleasure to introduce correctly Dana Bagnall to the front. Dana Bagnall is the founder and the CEO of Making a Difference Because You Matter, LLC. She is a certified holistic health and wellness coach, neuro-linguistic practitioner, bioenergetic health practitioner, and international keynote speaker. Dana is the author of Soulful Wellness Journey, Live Life Abundantly, a collection of soul food recipes, plant-based and gluten-free, which includes a curated collection of wellness tips, nutritional charts, recipes, and a playlist of soulful sounds. She has partnered with top Fortune 100 financial organizations, leading national healthcare associations and women business owners to educate them on how health impacts women's wealth and the practical steps needed to become proactive, resulting in a citywide focus on this timely issue. Dana is passionate about helping women over 40 and their loved ones heal from the inside out to release pain, stress, fatigue, trauma, depression, and anxiety while energetically mastering their well-being so they can live more abundantly. She has facilitated the mentoring of college students who have experienced its advantages and helped to bring success in their advancement academically, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Dana continues to bring her expertise in counseling and advising with the public and private sectors to the services offered in our Health and Wellness Academy. Dana Bagnall is talking about Pulse, the love connection that unifies and sustains a healthy lifestyle with purpose. Welcome.
I definitely want to extend a major thank you to Dr. Perrin Samani, as well as Cambridge and Global Research Conferences, and you are some fabulous leaders. I am immensely impressed by who you are, the caliber of your work and your study and your research, and how you stand up, not only as a woman, but also how you stand up in your spirit. And your spirit is magnificent, and it truly glows. And I just want to say, again, thank you, and I'm so happy to be in your presence. It's okay. This is my theme song that a Grammy Award winner singer had given me the permission to use for women, because it's the kingdom and it's in it and it's in you. There you go. Yes. Thank you, Miss Nadia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So what I want to talk to you about today is definitely called Pulse, the love connection. The love connection that unifies and sustains a healthy lifestyle. And if we're not able to get the video to come up, don't worry about it. I am prepared to just deliver and give it to you, okay? So this is going to be a moment of just getting real, like we have been, and going knee deep, all right? All right. So age. Age is such a controversial topic, especially for women. I remember when I was younger, my friends and I, we used to laugh and joke, and we used to say, age before beauty. But wait, what happens when you find younger family members saying the same thing to you? You see, I have reached that golden era, and I'm not ashamed about it, but I have reached that golden era where, yes, they are saying that to me. And it's when you are at that point in time that you reflect back to when you were going through a quarter life crisis, that's around the age of 25, and you start asking yourself questions such as, that sense of urgency just kind of like comes upon you, and you're like, when am I going to get married? What am I going to do with my life? Where am I going to live? All my friends are doing,
You fill in the blank. But when you reach your midlife crisis, you start to realize you have those similar questions. But those similar questions come at like a different pace. It is a sense of feeling like you're running out of time, right? And you start to question yourself, am I accomplishing what I said I wanted to do? What is my purpose? How many of you said that during this time frame? What is my purpose? What is going on with my health? You may have noticed some things are starting to grow or mature, and you're like, what is that? Yeah, kind of happens at this era. And then you start wondering when it comes to your finances, do I have enough saved up? What legacy am I leaving? Are my kids taken care of? And typically speaking, these are all great questions for self-reflection. They really are. But it can impact us regretfully when we start stressing on these questions and the answers, or that we don't act on impressions that may come to us spiritually or emotionally or physically or relationally or financially. And then there's that moment when the stress is so paramount, it becomes numbing, or we get stuck, or we become paralyzed. There are 3 different types of stress. There is daily stress. It's just your everyday stress. Things come up and you're like, oh, I got that, no problem. Then there is chronic stress. Chronic stress is like, oh my goodness. And then you go into fight or flight situation. And then you come back to homeostasis. You took care of it, right? It may be that you're walking into the office and you're like, oh, I left my report. Oh, I got to run home, get it, come back. Oh, great. I made it in enough time. You come back into homeostasis. The next type of stress is acute stress. And that is when we also go into fight or flight situation, but you stay in the fight or flight. You know, eons ago was when a saber-toothed tiger was chasing, someone down in the safari or whatever the case in the jungle, right? And then you needed that. That's when cortisol is released throughout the brain and is sent throughout your limbs, your phalanges, your feet. It's intentional. It's to get you out of a situation that is a matter of survival. But what happens when you stay in that and that part of your brain doesn't click off? It keeps you there. Your heart starts to palpitate faster. It puts you in a state of acute stress. And that's where a lot of people are finding themselves performing now, especially after the pandemic. Acute stress is so common that it is the underlying theme that is rampant and causing people, businesses, and communities to decline at an alarming rate. Now, according to the American Institute of Stress, as well as the American Psychological Association and the National Institute of Health, CDC, and the World Health Organization, it is known that 75 to 90% of doctor visits are related to chronic illnesses and chronic diseases. 75 to 90% of them. And I am going to use myself as an example for you, okay? During the pandemic, many people lost temporary or permanent connections with their jobs or businesses, homes, health, or loved ones. Now, there may be those of you who may have experienced any of the things that I have just shared. I was one of them, okay? I have pictures, slides, and everything. And again, this is on me. But again, I thank Ms. Nadia for doing trying to do her magic and make it happen. So Mikey, he is my, Mikey is my oldest. Mikey is my oldest bonus son out of 6 children. And he was one of those fatalities. And we all love our children for many reasons. Many reasons we love them. But he was my funny bone in my heart. But what I want you all to do is to please just take 15 seconds. Take 15 seconds and close your eyes, because we're in a safe place. And I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that special someone or individuals who are so energetic. They are so energetic that they are the life of the party. And they put a smile on your face when you see them. And they can lift your spirits just by being in that same space as them. Go ahead, I'm going to give you 15 seconds. Just join me. 15 seconds. They're the life of the party. Can you see who that person is? Okay, good. Good. Open your eyes. That was my Mikey. He was the life of the party. Of any space that he came into, it's like, here's Mikey. Mm-hmm. So I remember with him being the life, and he could lift anybody's spirits up by sharing the same space with them. I remember it was the night before his death. And I turned to my husband and I said, something's wrong. Something's very wrong. 2,000 miles away, where Mikey lived and where we lived, we were on 2 different coastal sides of the United States of America. I felt his presence. The next day, my oldest bonus daughter called to say that her brother had passed away. And my heart, it felt broken. And a broken heart is truly an actual account where it not only impacts you in your heart, because our hearts are the first responder on the scene to any situation. Raise your hand if you ever walked in a room and you could just sense something was just off. Yeah, that's because our heart, they refer to it as the little brain. It is the first responder to receive and perceive information, and then it articulates it to our brain. And then our brain will then send out whatever neurotransmitter that is in need of to help us either enjoy or to help us to protect and shield ourselves. And so when it comes to a broken heart, what happens is that your brain, your heart interprets it, sends it to the brain then communicates that, oh, she's sad. And it sends out serotonin because it's wanting to help you. Okay? Some of the challenges that come from a broken heart is that you lose the sense of appetite. Your body responds differently. Some people go into a state of depression and they have a hard time. They get stuck. They have a hard time coming out of it. Well, that happened with me. I didn't go into depression because I was coaching women at the time. Thank the Lord Jesus. Because that helped me to be able to stay on a high. But immediately after his funeral, my health became mildly compromised to the point that I could not breathe, and my tongue felt swollen, and I would become feverish. So even though in my mind I'm still going on, I'm still coaching, I'm consulting, I'm teaching women what I am sharing with you what to do, but I'm going to share with you what to do. I'm doing it with them, but I had to immediately take it into account for me at that moment. So everything that was going on, it was not the fault of my son. It was not the fault of the pandemic, because it was at the height of the pandemic. But what it boiled down to, it was grief and how my mind and my body dealt with the stress. Okay? So I'm here to share with you a solution that continues to help me and those I serve using spiritual, scientific, and evidence-based tools and strategies. I am sharing Pulse, the love connection that unifies and sustains a healthy lifestyle with purpose. Now, in my line of work as a certified holistic health and wellness practitioner, as a certified neurolinguistic practitioner, and a certified bioenergetic practitioner, I am blessed with the opportunity to help women over the age of 40 and also men to heal from the inside out. But all of this means squat diddly, ladies. I'm going to tell you that. It means squat diddly if you're not able to apply your own medicine to yourself. Okay? So imagine this. It was the height of the pandemic. It was around March 2020, and I discovered I had meat, dairy, eggs, and gluten allergies. Okay? And I had to triple check just to ensure that I did not take on the illness that was impacting millions of people. And thank the Lord I did not. And my body had reverted to my early years of food intolerance, all the way back to when I entered into this world, into this dispensation, because I was born 2 months premature. And it remained that way up until the age of 8. Now, as a holistic health and wellness life coach, this forced me to research earnestly and seek medical advice and change my diet because my health depended on it. And if you can imagine this, I'm standing in the bread aisle. Think about what was going on in the pandemic at this time. I'm standing in the bread aisle at our only local grocery store because it is a rural area. There's more moo-moos than there are people, okay? And I'm standing in the bread aisle, and people are just swirling around me, grabbing everything off of the shelves. Good Lord. Grabbing everything off of the shelves, and they're trying to do everything that they need to do in order for them to sustain themselves and live. And I found a loaf of bread, and I became so excited. And then I turned to my husband, and I read it. I turned it around because it was gluten-free bread, and then there was eggs in it. Yes, exactly. And I shared it with my husband. He looked so out of sort because he didn't know how to help me. And just like that, God whispered. And he said, "Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, and in thee which of the fruit of the tree is a fruit-yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat." I heard it clear as day in my ears. Just like that, I changed the way I looked at things, and the things I looked at changed. So my life was always good, even with challenges, but now life is better. I'm no longer allergic to dairy or gluten, meat, and eggs because I implemented my Pulse Wellness Plan. But my body still prefers to eat plant-based as well as fish. It prefers that. Now, my family, they had it changed their lives for the better because they also implemented the Pulse Wellness Plan. And it's awesome to just see it take place with my clients that I work with because it's different for everybody. But there's nothing like growing your food from a seed to a seedling to harvest than placing it on your family's plate. And nothing lurks to cause them any type of harm because it's medicinal and it's soulful. So at some point in our lives, I'm just going to kind of like speed this up. At some point in our lives, we will all experience some form of stress, be it physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relational, sadness, fear, anger. It all impacts us in some form of way. And here's why I do what I do. I do it not to convince you, I don't do it to convince you or to have you to buy a system, because there's enough systems going on in the world. I do what I do because it is the calling in my life. So first step with taking your pulse is to awaken to what is causing distress in your mind, in your body, or in your soul. And when you take the time to just connect with yourself, you're able to do it. So real quick, what I would like for you all to do is to let me know if you're going to be in agreement to just participate in a real quick activity. Raise your hand if you are. Okay, awesome sauce. All right, keeping that same hand up. I want you to keep your hand up. All right, I want you to lower your thumb. Okay, and I want you to lower your index finger, lower your pinky. All right, how many fingers you have up? Two. All right, now I want you to turn your palm towards yourself. What does that mean typically when you see this sign? If someone throws it up at you, what does it mean? Peace. Yes. Yes. And since we're here in United Kingdom, Winston Churchill was the first one to have this to represent victory. Okay? But yes, usually when you see this, it's universal. It means peace. The opposite of stress is peace. People are seeking peace. Oh, good grief. All right. People are seeking peace. And so what is important when you are detecting what is going on is for you to find peace within inside of yourself. There's many ways that we do it within my practice, but initially what we will do is start with a pulse wellness scan. And we can do it by people doing it in person or remotely. You would place your hand on a mouse device to take your pulse, or you can also do it with your voice. And it only takes 10 seconds to do it. The reason why we use your voice is because your voice is like a tuning fork. Because in your body, you're full of cavities. Within inside of your cavity, and your cavities vibrate at different levels. We refer to them as chakras, as energy centers. It is real, it is scientific, it does exist. But in the midst of that, you have all your other organs that are performing and doing their part. Okay? So you would take your pulse that way, and we receive the frequency, and then what will come up on the scan is you. It's truly as if your spirit is sitting across from you and having a conversation and saying, pay attention now. Here are the things that I am in need of help with. The second step, if I could take 3 moments. The second step is for you to take your pulse, and is the acronym. Practice unlimited love through self-evaluation. All right? Once we know what your body is communicating to you, because you are the best person that knows yourself best. Okay? Once we know on the screen what you are communicating to yourself, then we are strengthening you. We're going to take what is needed and is customized, because one cookie does not fit all. All right? So it may be sound therapy. It may, which is music, it's the frequency, it's the vibration. It may be meditation. It may be movement. Everyone has to be in movement in some form or fashion. Yoga is a phenomenal way in order to bring your mind and body into coherence and in alignment with the I am that is inside of you. Okay, so that's, and there's other stuff that we do. There's also pulse electromagnetic field therapy. It's scientific, it's evidence-based proof. Many people with different illnesses and diseases are no longer experiencing the symptoms that physicians are telling them that they are not able to recover from. I'm talking about fibromyalgia, I'm talking about heart disease, I'm talking about diabetes, I'm talking about cancers, I'm talking about a lot of different illnesses. It can be done.
It can be done. All right? And the last part is just to break through. And how you break through is eating your pulse. 3 ways to take your pulse. Eat your pulse. Pulse means it is multi-grains, anything that comes from a seed. It is biblical. It is written. It goes all the way back. It cleanses you. You do not have to become a vegan or a vegetarian or a pescatarian or any of that. But what is important is that you choose to, on your plate, put more pulse, beans, legumes, seeds, vegetables onto your plate than you do meat. Okay? You heard me say the scripture earlier that came to me in Genesis about pulse, it shall be your meat. You can do this. It's scientific. It cleanses you. It changes the vibration that is within your body and within your mind. People are healing. People are recovering. So whatever illnesses or challenges that you are going through, I encourage you to break through. I encourage you to change your mindset. It's a shift. That's all it is. It's not hard. It's just a shift. If you're in need of help, I do this. I love it. It's amazing to see people, how they come in and how they leave out. I love our healthcare system, but it's in need of improvement for sustainability. They receive less than 1% training when it comes to dealing with the holistic part of our beings, our well-beings. We partner with practitioners, with physicians, and so forth, and then our clients take their information to them, and it changes the conversation. Don't fall in love with the white coat. So I wish you all success. I thank you for your time. And if you have any questions and you want to know how to get a pulse wellness scan, just let me know. Okay? All right, thank you.
Let's give ourselves a hand. How about the bonus speakers from today? Yeah. Anybody learn a lot? Anybody learn a lot today? I know I did.
Good afternoon. I would like to welcome now the worshipful Mayor of Southwark, Sunil Chopra. Councillor Sunil Chopra is the mayor of Southwark. He has lived in Southwark for many years and became the first Indian origin elected councillor in 2010. He has been elected as the mayor of London Borough of Southwark for the second time in 2022 and represents London Bridge and West of Bermondsey. Councillor Sunil Chopra has a compassionate nature, being involved in providing support to various groups and forums in the borough, and he's dedicated to community service. He is a businessman. He holds the record of raising the most money ever through the borough's mayoral charity appeal. He has strong ties between the UK and India and encourages Indian entrepreneurs and business people to invest in the UK. He also has business connections in Turkey, Djibouti, and the Far East. Councillor Sunil Chopra graduated from the University of Delhi. He is founder trustee of the Southwark Hindu Center and appointed as patron for BD.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to give a warm welcome to our councillor, Mayor of Southwark, Sunil Chopra, for coming and giving your precious time to us. Before we start the book launch, I would like to invite Louis Rowling Begna, and he is going to be talking about his book because he's just told me that he is in a verge of publishing his book, but his book wasn't ready, otherwise he would be happy to launch the book here. So I'm going to ask him to talk about what he wants to share with us. Please.
Thank you. I've got to tell you, it has been such a privilege and honor to interact with all of you this past conference and support my good wife, Dana, and just recognize and appreciate all that you contribute in your respective circles of influence and in your communities. You never know when paths cross with people, what's going to happen. And not too long ago, trying to compartmentalize myself in so many different things that I enjoy doing, and speaking to my good friend Mario Capizzo Vincenzo, who's originally from Italy, and is recognized in Nottingham, actually, at the Citadel with the star on the wall for his entrepreneurial efforts. He said, you know, I don't know how to characterize you, and it just dawned on me because he's introducing me at an event. He said, you're my financial advisor, you're a carpenter, you're an internationally recognized artist, you had dance and art scholarships to college, you're a published educator. And he went on and on and on, and he said, you know what you really are? I said, what's that, Mario? And he said, you're a Renaissance man. and so now my business cards just have Renaissance man on there because it's too much to put on there. And so with that, my research, my educational research has been specifically on women empowerment. And it was catalyzed because my daughter, who can outshoot, outrun, outhike, outtalk, out dialogue, out debate just about any young man she dated before she got married, was going to PE class, and she is an avid archer. Her grandfather, who's a national archery competitor, was ecstatic that he had a grandchild, specifically a granddaughter who was an archery enthusiast, and of course he spent an inordinate amount of money getting her a bow that looked nothing like any of the other kids in PE class had. But she was constantly pushing back against narratives that were informing her of things that she was not. And she had to push back against things that she was. And because of that, I decided to do some research. And so the research that I conducted was specifically on young women and how their covert matriarchal dialogue informed patriarchal discourse. And in that research, so much came out of what women, young women in particular, did not realize that they were influencing with their social capital among the young men that they attend school with, and how that patriarchal dialogue was informed by their behavior. And so the book that I will be publishing will be entitled White Spacing, Sarah's Discourse, Matriarchal Dialogue Informing Patriarchal Discourse. And so I'm just sharing this with you because I've been so impressed with all of you that are here. And so I would be very interested over the course of the next few months as I get ready to publish, to interview you. And if you would like to contribute your story to the layers of the book, I think it would be very impactful for women in general, but specifically to my daughters, and we have 4 granddaughters that we're very proud of, and we want to leave a legacy for them and let them know that it is okay to be, and it is okay to be who you are, and it is okay to interact with the world around you and share with your own circles of influence the things that you can contribute to society. So, thank you.
So, a very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm South African Councillor Chopra, so I'm going to greet you the way we greet our mayors in South Africa. We call them His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Sunil Chopra. A very good afternoon to you, and thank you for joining us today. I'd like to also recognize Professor Dr. Pareen Somani for firstly giving us the opportunity to come together and meet such incredible women, and secondly for editing my book, which I'm about to launch. So thank you. And what I learned when talking to Professor Dr. Somani is that she's not somebody who has or performs lip service to the word women empowerment. So at no cost, she's edited this book. Wow. So I'm really, really very grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the words of advice and wisdom you've shared in your experience of putting together a book. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity for inviting me to be a speaker here. And wonderful, amazing ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute privilege to spend 2 days with you, and it is my absolute honor to be launching my book at King's College at Cambridge University in your presence. So thank you very much. I'm going to start off by just giving you a very quick synopsis of the book and then give you a little bit of a history as to how it came about. So the synopsis of the book: 20 dynamic women leaders from 6 countries in the world share their journey. Whilst their triumphant and poignant accounts are profound, their outstanding leadership qualities, admirable resilience, and inspiring introspection provide insightful lessons and advice to current and future women leaders of the world. By using the themes that emerged from the experiences and engaging subject specialists, the author unpacks real issues to achieve authentic leadership. Is the world ready for a cathartic analysis to embrace the future of women's leadership? Are women willing to empower women without prejudice, to create, collaborate, and empower the next generation of leaders? And I'm sure you're all wondering about this word Kafkaesque and what it means and where it comes from. So it was a word that was coined by Franz Kafka, who's a German author, and it basically refers to something that's extremely unpleasant, frightening and confusing, and similar to situations described, of course, in his novels. I'd like to share some of the antonyms because I think it kind of creates a more stark explanation of the term Kafkaesque. So the antonym, the opposite, means sane, sensible, sober, wise, lucid, enlightened, justified, and common sense. So just to give you a very quick synopsis as to why the book. I've been in the training and development space for the last 30 years. I've held senior leadership positions in my country at board level, vice president of the Durban Chamber of Commerce and so on. And I've had some very interesting experience in working with women. And as we indicated earlier, women have become so caught up in dealing with the whole issue of gender parity to men that we've forgotten about women's relationship with women as women leaders. Exactly. And we don't talk about the challenges that we experience in that particular space. So this particular book provided women with a platform to come forward and share some of their experiences, their lessons, provide advice and guidance based on these lessons to the current and future women leaders of the world. And in that way, we start facilitating more authentic, real, and ethical leadership, or encourage more ethical leadership in women. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to be here today and launching, or my privilege I should say, in launching the book. Oh, sorry, I should actually explain the colors. So the colors on the poster and the cover of the book have some very significant meaning. The white represents purity, simplicity, and cleanliness. The indigo, and that is the little butterflies here, and you would notice that it has got some spots or shadings of olive green. The indigo is a dark and rich color that sits between blue and violet, and it represents tranquility, harmony, confidence, and integrity. And the green, basically nature, growth, rebirth, health, hope, and many positive things related to overall well-being. So one can sense the feeling of belonging and tranquility whenever one sees the soothing color. And it perfectly resonates nature's cycle of birth, death, and then rebirth with transformation and new beginnings. The gold is reminiscent of luxury, success, achievement, triumph, royalty, and fortune. The color gold is named after the precious metal, of course, of the same name. And the meaning of the color gold is multifaceted, often denoting generosity, compassion, as well as being synonymous with divinity and power in many religious settings. I think I'm going to stop there because I could go on to the blue-gray and all of that. And the reverse of the book, which I will show you in a bit, basically captures an eagle flying out of this gold world. And if we know anything about eagles, they have this phenomenal ability to reinvent themselves. So they go into the mountains and they pluck off their feathers and it grows again. They break off their talons and it grows again. They knock their beak against the mountain and it breaks off and grows again. And in that way, they completely reinvent themselves. So the whole message of transformation is captured in the cover and the drawings. And of course, we know that butterflies represent catharsis, transformation, metamorphosis. Great, so I think the moment has come. Sure.
Shall we come here? I would like to invite Dr. Parul. She was our chief guest yesterday. Thank you. Yeah, come here.
Yes, you can go in the middle.
Yes.
Okay, just looking here for me for 1 second. Here we go. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Hold it right there. And just hold it there for the instant camera.
Come closer down. And we should give it a tug, right?
Start. Can I do? It was my pleasure to edit your book. It's amazing. The content, the story, what's written here is fantastic. I think so. You have covered so much overall about the female leadership and the woman empowerment. Excellent. I would recommend you to please go and get this book and read. A lot of inspirational words, a lot of hard work Vani has done in this book. So congratulations from all of us.
Congratulations.
From all my So once again, congratulations for all of you being here, part of this event. And I want to say a very big thank you to all my team who has supported me. But I cannot forget our today's chief guest, valedictorian, worshipful Mayor of Southwark, Sunil Chopra, to be here. And your presence has given us a lot of inspiration, motivation to work more harder than we are. Correct? Yeah? Okay. So now I would like to talk about the book which I have written. My book is called Manifest Inner Beauty, where you can say the part 1 is completed. And my second book, I can show you this way, that will be more easier. This book, it has taken me a long time. This is the story of my personal life, how I went and challenges through my life and what I've thought about it. So let me quickly go through the part 1, and part 2 is also going through at the moment, is not completed yet. And I would like to also say thank you so much, Mustafa, for bringing our chief guest for today. So thank you. And I would also like to say a big thank you to our chief guest, for inaugural chief guest, Dr. Parul Begum. She was very helpful and she has really helped in everything here. I cannot forget all my dignitaries, all my beautiful eminent speakers and my keynote speakers. So I wanted to say thank you so much for coming in the book launch and supporting me. So I'm very excited and delighted to launch this book, Manifest Inner Beauty, here at the Global Research Conference 2023, King's College, Cambridge. Manifest Inner Beauty consists of 2 parts. I'm currently in a process of writing the second part. The motivation of writing Manifesting Inner Beauty has stemmed me for my personal life experiences, what I have gone through. From reaping success in the media and leading a healthy life to suddenly loss of my vision and being diagnosed with the life-threatening aggressive cancer on 2 separate occasions, 1 decade apart. It changed my physical appearance and identity and leading me towards searching for and manifesting my inner beauty. So you may be wondering, how did it happen and how this is going to help my readers. So I have shared personal tools in this book and strategies that have helped me to accept my identity and cultivate inner beauty. Due to my transformation, you can see, and humanitarian work, I have been doing it for many years, that I want to encourage and inspire many medias, many people around the world. So I was encouraged by many media groups to participate in the beauty pageant. As a result, I become the second runner-up of Mrs. Queen of India 2021. That was my start. I'll tell a little story about it, how I went in. I was a motivational speaker. As a TEDx speaker, I was invited to go on a different places and just do my keynote speak or inaugurator or a chief guest, and I used to do my talks. One day, one of the media group was sitting just like how you guys are sitting, and I was being told, we are doing Mrs. India 2021 and we would like you to bring the female who are in a rural area where they never dreamt that they can come out of the little small pocket zone. And I said, okay, what would you like me to do? And she said, I just wanted you to come and do a motivational talk. And she said, okay. I said, that's fine. She said, well, how many times can you come in the week? And I said, you tell me, how many times do you need? She said, at least once a week can you give your time? I said, that sounds good, no problem. It's all online, nothing offline at that stage. So I did a couple of talks. They really liked my talk. She was paying for it. It was not a free talk. She paid for it. Then after 3 talks, she came up to me and she said, do you know what? You're too expensive. I said, why would you say that? And she said, because I have to pay a lot of money for your talk. I said, I never asked for it. You gave it to me. So I never said no for it. If somebody gives me, I said thank you. If somebody don't give me, I still say thank you. So you offered me, I accepted it. She said, I think, how about you getting involved in this beauty pageant and be part of us? I said, that's not me. I'm a speaker. I cannot go on a beauty side. That's not me. She said, I really would like you to be the part of our beauty pageant. Then I spoke to my family. My daughters are my backbone. And my daughter said, Mommy, if you really want to do something, this is the best opportunity. Grab it. I said, hold on, let me think about it. And then after giving a good thought, I decided to go ahead. And there I came. I went on a Mrs. India 2021. I was crowned by Aditi Gowatri, Bollywood Indian star, very famous person. People who are coming from India, you can Google it, Aditi Gowatri. And after that, my journey started in the beauty pageant. Then I was invited for a Mrs. Universe International 2021, where I become the winner again. Then I was invited by Brit Asian 2021 in London in November 2021, where I become the winner. And that winner, I did not win because of the jury members sitting, because the audience were sitting and the audience screamed when the organizers said, I have got 5 Mrs. Brit Asian standing in front of me, whom shall we crown? And from the audience, the noise came out, Dr. Pared Somani. And there you go. And the judges also got it from the seat and they said, yes, we agree. And that's the way I was crowned for Mrs. Brit Asian 2021. Then I had an opportunity for Mrs. World, Enigma Mrs. World 2022. That was in Thailand when I was nominated. So luckily, with all your prayers and all your good wishes, I become the winner of Mrs. Enigma World 2022. After that, last year in December, I was honored Mrs. Universe 2022. Wow. And I'll tell you, I did not win. I did not have to go to the competition. That was based on my humanitarian work. It was just purely based on the work I do for the community. So they said, you have got so many pageants, you won so many things, which title shall we give? So a Bollywood star, Mehak Chal, she's one of the actress in India, in Bollywood, she said, I think so, give her a title of Mrs. Universe. She has not got it. I think so. That's only the left in her list. So then I was being given that title of 2022 in December last year. So then it was a wonderful. I got so many crowns, and this is my Brit Asian crown I'm wearing. This is a live when the program happened. This is a crown given to me in United Kingdom on 21st of November 2021.
Wow.
That's my little story. That has really inspired and motivated me to inspire the world. I always wanted to become a role model for the community. So this is my way of paying back to the community. And if you ask me who is my role model, Aga Khan is my role model. Mahatma Gandhi is my role model. Mother Teresa is my role model. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam is my role model. I learn from them. And you know how they have written the quotes? I also written, I think, 550 quotes I've written, and that quote should be coming out soon, but I'm so busy with all my activities here and there, I cannot even complete my book. So that will come out as well, and that's written purely of beautiful quotes where it will inspire and motivate. So hopefully that should come out very soon with your support and help. Manifesting Inner Beauty Part 1 shares how individuals can perceive themselves in a positive light and how it can help them towards living a happier life. It teaches how to create inner beauty through changing negative beliefs and thoughts, how to focus on the mind, on the important things, set healthy boundaries, accept others, create a happy life for family and friends. It also teaches how to have a positive mindset and use visualization techniques and to achieve your goals. And that is the way of going on a ladder of success. This book talks a lot about it. Throughout the book, I have used personal quotes which was intended to inspire and motivate individuals. Together with the tools encapsulated therein in this reading will help you, and the readers will notice a change in their self-esteem and appearance with the persistence and dedication. It is my desire that readers will be inspired into discovering and manifesting their inner beauty, the beautiful soul they are, inner beauty in the same way what I had the experience of it. So the book you can buy the book online and it will be out very soon. I'll send you the links to everyone. But this is something I thought that will be a fantastic opportunity for me to launch my book at the King's College, Cambridge. It's one of the prestigious places where I love a little bit of the book now. And I would like to launch my book by having the worship mayor of Southwark, Sunil Chopra ji. Please. And I would also like our chief guest, Dr. Parul, please.
Do you want to come in the middle?
So I'll come in the middle. So.
Wishes? 3, 2, 1.
Yay! Thank you so much.
He's taking out the picture, I think.
Great picture.
So again, I would like to call up the worshipful mayor of Southwark, Councillor Sunil Chopra. Welcome.
First of all, I would like to say big thank you to Dr. Pareen inviting me here, giving me the opportunity to come and meet all distinguished people here. And especially this week, she gave me a very actually short notice, only a couple of days back, because as a mayor I had a lot of duties to go to different parts of the Southwark to meet people. Those are celebrating Coronation Street Party, as you know, and it's very important week for all of you to come to UK at a time when King is celebrating. Well, we have installation of the King, in the UK. So it's a very big opportunity, I think, for all of you as well to be a part of this coronation ceremony along with this lovely event you're doing. Just before I go on the other note, Dr. Savani was talking about you get inspired from people. So since my childhood, I've seen a lot of things. Growing up in India, in Delhi, doing my law from the university, and then moving in South Africa for 43 years. So I've seen a lot of things in India, and when I came here and I saw people sleeping rough in UK roads, I couldn't believe that this happened in this part of the world as in the first one. So when I was mayor in 2014-15, I raised a lot of money for the charities, people sleeping rough on UK roads. And you'll be surprised to note that many people were coming from like the soldiers coming from war victim zone. So, I don't know what was the reason, but they were sleeping rough on UK road. So it was very, very heartbreaking for me. So I got inspired during all this time, seeing Mother Teresa in my lifetime, helping people in India, without any personal interest. Nelson Mandela, I think the ladies here from South Africa, right? So and you can see how much whole life he dedicated for the people, whole his youth has gone. And I remember in early days, the Princess Diana, she don't have to do all those things. She was the first person on this planet. She shook the hand with AIDS victims. I can still remember that day. I can still see when people were saying AIDS, and there were people used to run away. Just listening to the word of AIDS, like we had a corona just now. So she was the first person I remember in the hospital. The scene is still in front of my eyes, that she's shaking hand with one of the AIDS victims. So these are the people, they inspired you. There are many other people out there, whether it's a Gandhi or it's we all have different thoughts about different people, but we always get inspired from somebody. So I'm very happy to see your passion. You're doing so much work from whether women empowerment or bringing people together. Like you can see so many people from different parts of the world here in such an iconic building. Who else can take that initiative? Thank you very much for making an effort and doing this work. I hope you can carry on doing this work. And thank you for your work, introduction, introducing me to so many lovely people. And it's my really honor and privilege and pleasure to be here with you all today, attending the Global Research Conference 2023 at King's College, Cambridge Education. And sharing knowledge are important for society growth. And I'm very happy to support such a noble initiative, and I know the immense work goes into the organization of such events, bringing you all together to ignite your passion for sharing research. Ignite is a very, very important word. Your team successfully organized this event, and I personally have organized so many events in Sadak to raise money for the charities, as speaker already said somebody, and I raised the maximum money in the history of Sadak during my term as a mayor. Hence the importance of helping humanity through initiatives like those undertaken by Global Research Conference hold great value in my heart. I understand that the conference has vast representations from countries globally, including the United Kingdom, USA, Canada, South Africa, Australia, France, India, Iran, and other locations, which is commendable. You can all take your learning and implement them in your nations, taking one step further towards positive, sustainable growth. The conference theme building sustainability after the COVID-19 pandemic is ideal for the current global situation that we are facing now. Hence, I know that throughout this conference, you will have learned a lot and be indebted to GRC for their efforts and facilitating you all to share knowledge. In addition, GRC links to Global Research Journal allows you to have work published reaching global audiences. GRC believes that research is a vital component of sustainable development, and through this conference, you will all have a platform to share knowledge, facilitating you towards finding solutions to challenges faced in contemporary life. I sincerely hope that GRC will continue to run such fantastic initiatives and hold conferences in different locations worldwide. I understand. Thank you. And I understand that there is an aim to hold conferences at various renowned universities globally like Oxford, Harvard, and London. Therefore, I would urge you all to attend these conferences and support GRC 2023 and their future vision. Thank you again for inviting me here, and thank you all for you to coming here and making this event very successful. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so I would just like to thank you, Councillor Sunil Chopra, for addressing our group today. We appreciate you being here. And now we'd like to start the GRC prestigious awards ceremony. So we would like to recognize the worshipful mayor of Southwark, Councillor Sunil Chopra, and we'd like to recognize you with this award. Okay, so next we'd like to recognize and call up Dr. Peril Begum, our inaugural chief guest speaker. And now we would like to recognize our lovely and the one and only Professor Dr. Paran Samani, our keynote speaker.
Many, many congratulations.
Okay, and next we would like to recognize Professor and Dr. Angie Sue, our keynote speaker from today. Please come on up. I would like to recognize the lovely Aparna Moore, our eminent speaker from yesterday. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next we would like to recognize and award our eminent speaker, Dana Bagnall. Please come on up to be recognized. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us and blessing us with your presence.
Thank you. Namaste to the future. From the US.
And next, I would like to call up Dr. Leena Patel. She gave us a poster presentation. Thank you for your poster presentation.
I would just make you a please. You're like a father. For me, yes. Yo. Thank you.
Okay, and next we would like to recognize and award the lovely, talented, and wise Dr. Angelica Wagner, eminent speaker.
Thank you so much, darling. That was so nice. Thank you so much.
very
I'd love
much.
to
She's
speak
from
with you later.
Yeah.
I'm
from
in
here.
London.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I helped several of the councillors get elected last Billingsgate.
So I would also just like to mention, even though they received their awards and recognition yesterday, they were not able to be here with us this afternoon. Kum Seth, eminent speaker, and Martha Davidson, eminent speaker as well. And next, I would like to call up to recognize the lovely Vani Moodley, eminent speaker.
Supporting us. Thank you.
And next, I would like to call up and recognize the fashionable and passionate Wani Iris Manley, Esquire, eminent speaker.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay, looking straight here at me for the first one. 3, 2, 1.
And next, I would like to recognize and call up the bright and brilliant Yannick Sied. Saying it right? Eminent speaker.
I didn't have to say you are wearing the branding color. It's my privilege to have you do it.
Oh, sustainability.
I know, I'm showing her.
Yeah.
Next, I would like to have Dr. Michelle Nemec, eminent speaker, come up and join us. Student speaker.
She's a young student.
She's a lifelong student, right? As we all are. And she's quite resilient. Okay, and as our wonderful student speaker who won the award today, Nurbanu Somani, please come up to receive your award and your recognition for a wonderful job. We really enjoyed your talk.
Bravo, bravo to this wonderful young woman.
Yes.
Bravo, well done.
Okay, we would also like to recognize as a delegate, please come up, Paul Fevin. Thank you so much for blessing us with your presence while we were here for the Global Research Conference.
Thanks for
Yes,
coming.
lovely.
Okay, just looking this way for me.
And delegate, Mr. Lewis Raleigh, if you could also come up to be recognized. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for coming.
I would like to announce our lovely Dr. Gia. From Florida.
Yes,
Being so kind and generous because I met her last year and since then we become good friends. And Dr. Sue, her co-partner of presenting, you heard her presentation, amazing on the STEM. I don't know how to say a big thank you for both of them traveling all the way down from Florida. And thank you so much for doing MC.
Yeah.
And I want to say a big thank you for all your hard work. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay, perfect. So we would like to award the Best Oral Presentation Award to Aparna Moore. Please come up. Award.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So we would also like to recognize for the Best Poster Presentation Award, Dr. Lena Patel. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for this lovely
humbling manner, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sunil, you can see this is a graph. We had two. One lady who is not here, she's from Iran, Sherry Dasti. She's from London. She lives in London, but she's originally from Iran. And that's Avalina Patel. It's for the poster presentation. She carried a poster from India all the way down, and she wrapped it up, and she was asking me, what do I do, how to do? I was giving every instruction, and you made it.
Imagine this is happening in front of her.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And last but not least, the Best Student Presentation Award is hereby awarded to Nirbanu Somani. Please come on.
Congratulations.
Absolutely amazing. Well deserved. Fabulous young woman. Oh my God. Such a fabulous young woman.
So congratulations to all the award winners. I would now like to recognize Professor Dr. Parin Samani. I'd like to personally thank you for organizing the GRC 2023 for the immense hard work and dedication that has been input into making the conference a great success. We have learned a vast amount over the past couple of days, and we are all change makers, and we can implement what we've learned in our respective fields, building a sustainable future post-COVID-19. I would like to thank Professor Dr. Parin Samani, Wendy Barton, and Mr. Hook for their immense hard work. They have worked tirelessly to make this conference a grand success. Professor Dr. Parin Samani has done a magnificent job despite the challenges that she has had to face, and the work that she has done is commendable. I understand that GRC 2023 will be hosting many more conferences in renowned universities around the world, and the next one is due to take place at Oxford University. Details will be shared soon. I would now invite Dr. Professor Parin Samani to deliver the vote of thanks.
So this is the time to depart. I'm sad, but it's never too late. We are going to be meeting soon with many, many projects and working together, and together we'll make a positive success. So thank you to each and everyone, and thank you is an expression of deep gratitude that cannot be touched or seen. It comes from the heart, and it's always within yourself, and you felt it has come within yourself with the heart. It is a great honor and privilege to be with you and being at the Global Research Conference 2023 at King's College, Cambridge. I would like to say a big thank you to all honorable speakers, chief guest, inaugurator, chief guest for valedictorian, keynote speakers, poster presentation, oral presentation, student presentation, and all my lovely delegates on the line and off the line who have blessed us with their presence on this special occasion and shared insightful and a thought-provoking research and knowledge. I cannot forget our lovely Mustafa as well for coming and sharing the happy moments with us. I would also like to express my sincere thanks to the Program Advisory Committee members, our Chairman Alan Hawke, and the Chief Administrator Wendy Barton, whose presence has been greatly missed, but their input to making this conference a success has been invaluable. I, on the behalf of the organizing committee, I convey deep regards and heartily thanks to our valedictory chief guest, Sir, a Councillor, Mayor of Southwark, Worship Mayor Sunil Chopra, for coming here and giving us the time out of his immensely busy schedule to be with us today. And I have to tell you that he has to cancel his appointment that he was supposed to go. So I really appreciate a big thank you and a big round of applause from all of us. grateful to all the conference committee, including the organizing committee, the conference review board, and a conference advisory board for helping to shape this conference, to shape GRC 2023 here at the King's College, Cambridge. I feel proud and I thank you for making this event a very successful one. So thank you to all of you. A conference like this cannot happen overnight, and we all know that. You will know that the wheels starts rolling months in advance. We have been fortunate enough to be backed up by a team, a very motivated team and dedicated volunteers who have supported in this initiative. I cannot thank everyone enough for their involvement. They have shown and willingnessly they have expressed to take on the completion of tasks beyond the comfort zone. So thank you once again. I'm very thankful to the sponsor, International Global Research Journal, London Organization of Skill Development, and Fine Finders, our PR media partner, Aries, A to Z, photography and videography. We all can see what he's doing. He's doing very hard work to help us and support us and make us, our program, a successful. So thank you, Aries. It would not be possible to organize it without their support. And Fine Finders have really helped me for each and everything in this program. They are my backbones. I also want to say a big thank you to Manojji and Reena for being our media partner. I would also like to thank King's College, Cambridge, Clay and her team and the catering team. Without you all, this event cannot be possible. You will be happy to know that the next GRC 2023 conference will be held at the Oxford University, which has just happened. We were like debating yes and no, and just chairman has just messaged, yes, we have got confirmation. We will be doing it at the Oxford University. Keep your eyes open for the forthcoming dates. We have not known the date, but yes, very soon. Just now, today only, just confirmed that yes, we are going to have one. The next will be in Oxford. Thank you once again to all of you for making this intimate Global Research Conference 2023 at King's College, Cambridge a success, and have a safe journey. Thank you and namaste. Thank you. Hi everyone. Today I am at the Global Research Conference 2023 at King's College, Cambridge. Today we have got Councillor, Worship Mayor of Southwark, Sunil Chopra with me. Let's find out what his experience for coming here today as a chief guest, as a valedictorian at the Global Research Conference 2023. Hello, Mayor Sunil Chopra ji, how do you feel by coming here today?
First of all, thank you for inviting me, Dr. Parinji. It's a great experience to meet so many distinguished people here from all over the world, and everybody has their own, you can say, authority in their work. So I'm very happy to be here, to be part of this conference, and I learned a lot about you, your work, and your colleagues' work. And the best thing I like here is like you're bringing different people from different parts of the world together here in UK at the time when whole UK is celebrating the coronation. Everybody is in such a big mood at the moment. So it's a very, very good time, I can say, to bring people here to UK. And I've seen the work some people are doing about the environment, some people are doing about the women empowerment, like you. So it's good to carry on doing that work. And I'm also doing many things as a councillor, as a mayor, bringing people together from different faiths, different communities, trying to raise money for my charities. Like after COVID, I'm supporting King's College Hospital and Blind Aid, because everybody use hospitals during the COVID time. And also when I was talking to you regarding the Blind Aid, I had personal experience when my wife had a knee replacement. She was in hospital for about 3 months and she lost her vision. So after 5 days she got her vision back, same like you had the experience of the steroid. So that's why I took those two charities. I'm trying to raise money for those charities, trying to raise money for the environment. So, and also during my term in 2014-15, becoming a mayor first time, I raised money for the homeless charity. Coming from Indian background, I couldn't see people sleeping rough on UK roads. So that's why I raised the money for this charity. So why I brought these issues is, I'm the first Indian origin mayor in Southwark, where we don't have many Indian population. It's only about 2%. So idea is to show to people the UK and especially in England, especially in Southwark, people do believe in diversity, people do acknowledge your work, and it brings people together. So there's no glass ceiling in UK, so you can reach to any stage. So like work you're doing, and I'm sure you will reach to more people, you pass this message to people, get connected, do good work for the community, for the humanity, doesn't matter which field you're in. This is what I felt today here. You all doing different work, or with different vision, different message. But the ultimate goal is to help another human being. So this is what I like, and this is what I learned from the conference.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mayor Sunil Chopra, for a fantastic feedback. But I would also like to tell you that this is not the first time. We have been doing many conferences, but this is the first time when we have done a big conference like this at the King's College in Cambridge. And by having you, this has given a more chand, more bright, and more like I don't know how to explain it. Everybody is so happy, over the moon by coming your presence. So you have heard and you saw how the people have got their awards, how the people have been recognized. What are your takeaway from here today? What would you like to comment on that?
I think I'll say honor is mine to be here, to meet so many distinguished people, as I said, in their own field. There's a lot of doctors, they have written a lot of books on their own subject, which are close to their heart. So my message is, like I said earlier, keep on doing the work. Regarding the award, it's a very good thing to appreciate people about their hard work, to make them feel that they are special as well. So it's a small appreciation, but it's good to recognize people for their hard work, give them an award, whatever you can do. We always say in our personal life also, always say thank you to everyone who even do little work. So I'll say big thank you to you, to your team, all the people behind the scene, those that make this happen. Because I do a lot of events, so I understand it is not easy to organize any event. It takes months and years. So I'll say thank you to you to doing this, what you have delivered today, and also all your family, friends and people behind the scene to make this happen. So it is not easy to do this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for such a comments which has given me inspiration and motivation that I have to give more back to the society. But I do remember one thing when we were having a lunch and we were coming down, that when I told you about the Global Research Journal, that we do that as well. And I was motivated and inspired with your beautiful words, what you said, that I would like to be in your journal too. So now I do expect a paper from you, how I can have you in a Global Research Journal. So very soon I will send you some details and you can see which subject, which area is very close to you, and we can have your paper published in our Global Research Journal.
Yes, I'd love to be part of your journey, and as I mentioned to you earlier, I got some personal passion, like I want to help older people because they're living in isolation, they're living alone, they're living in loneliness and they're getting depressed. So this is very, very close to me, that how we can be friend with them, how young people and old people can work together, because young people can teach them the technology. A lot of people, older people I know, they don't know much about technologies. So if we can teach them, they can get connected with their children, grandchildren, And also another subject which is close to me is the environment. And also I'm very happy that our king is also very close to environment. So I want my children, my grandchildren to inherit good clean health, good clean air. So that it's not only like you look after the tree, there are so many other things behind the scene, like eat less, use less, waste less, and of course plant trees. There are many other, it's a very big subject, so I got a lot of thoughts about this, so which I want to deliver. Also, I got passion to deliver clean water to villages in India and Africa. This is my personal wish, another one, because a lot of people die from contaminated water. So people can't drink even water. so they don't have clean water to drink. So there are many issues like we all have close to our heart. So I'll be part of your journey, and hopefully with your help, with your colleagues' help, I can achieve my goals as well.
Do you know what? You have said the right thing, what I have been doing it. This is my mission, my goal to reach to the people around the globe, wherever they need my help. And when I get a second person comes up and saying the same goal, that gives me a feeling of inspiration. And you've touched me that by saying that, we can do it together. And this is my motto of my life, that I want to help the mankind. This is my motto. Exactly what your motto is, to help the mankind. And always we can't do it alone. You can't do it, I can't do it. But it's always by working together we can make a positive global change. And this is my motto, and I think so your motto is similar. So this vision can work together, and I'm very sure we can help the society at large. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming here, and thank you for making this event a very grand success at Global Research Conference 2023 at King's College, Cambridge. Thank you and shukriya. Hi, today I am at the King's College, Cambridge at the Global Research Conference 2023. I'm with Yannick Said from Canada, came for this Global Research Conference at the Cambridge. So let's find out what is her experience coming at the Global Research Conference.
It was an amazing experience learning from some distinguished speakers. I came to share my knowledge, but I came back with so much. It was energizing, revitalizing, empowering. Wonderful.
I'm great to hear that. So tell me, what are your takeaway messages from the conference today?
Definitely what comes to mind is let your voice be heard, follow your purpose, follow your heart, because you have a lot to offer.
What are your key messages for delivering this presentation today to the audience?
Well, that women, mature women, are re-entering studies, and at the graduate level. Since 1984, the numbers have been climbing and surpassing the males entering graduate studies. So that is one thing. They are going through their studies, their program, despite all the challenges that they have to face as women. And definitely they have a motivation, and also their motivation and their resourcefulness to complete their degree. That graduate program is really a shout out to women that they can do anything.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Thank you very much once again to coming and attending Global Research Conference 2023 and making a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are at the Global Research Conference in King's College, Cambridge. I'm here with Vani, who's come all the way from France, Paris. So what are your key takeaways from this conference?
Wow, I was just so blown away by all the ladies here, and for me it was just more about leveling up to a standard of really excellence. I was just so blown away with how everybody was just so decorated and just so passionate about what the work they were just offering. And I learned so much. I mean, from every single talk, from every single woman, I felt more intelligent, I felt more open, I felt more expanded, and I felt more motivated to actually do better, to be better, and to actually give more.
Thank you.
Today we're here at the Global Research Conference 2023 at Cambridge University, and we have Vani Moodley with us. Vani, what was your main message you gave us today?
Great. So the key points I delivered to the audience today was basically to facilitate the process of women introspecting on their own leadership styles and starting to embrace other women as equals and facilitating the process of empowering women as equals through mentorship and coaching. What we find is that predominantly mentors are very happy, female mentors are very happy to mentor younger women who are entering into the work environment, but feel a little bit threatened when they have to mentor women of about their age. And it's also all about respect and acknowledgement. It's about transforming the women leadership arena so that we don't emulate men in the way in which we lead, but we basically map the path going forward. And to that effect, I have submissions from 20 women from 6 countries in the world, and I had the wonderful opportunity of launching my book called The Triumphs and Kafkaesque of Women Leaders, which basically captures the essence of the experiences of 20 women from 6 different parts of the world, and the commonalities are quite uncanny. So we've unpacked the themes and addressed 3 of the 22 themes that have emerged, and sequels will basically capture the remaining themes. So I'm very excited to be here. It was an awesome opportunity to engage with such dynamic and inspiring women. I take away many, many lessons from them, lots of learnings, and of course look forward to future events hosted. For me, one of the cherry on the top was launching the book at King's College at Cambridge University, and it was my absolute privilege, and I thank Professor Dr. Somani for her input in editing the book pro bono, and also for facilitating this conference and inviting us through to come together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Today we're here at the Global Research Conference 2023 at Cambridge University, and we have Nirbanu Somani here. Nirbanu, what was your main takeaway from your message today that you shared with us?
Wow, I've been so inspired by all the speakers that have been presenting at this conference. They really put the bar so high, and I'm really so inspired by the ways that they have conducted their research, the ways that they work in their communities, and it's so empowering. And as a female myself, I feel so empowered, and I really look up to all of these inspired ladies.
Nirbanu, what was your main message you shared with us today?
So my main message from my presentation was music can be a tool, it can be used as medicine. We should all take our daily dose of music daily. It can really help with anxiety, depression, stress, and just overall just uplifting our mood. I highly recommend it to everyone, and I really hope that people can take that away from my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are joined today by Dana Bagnell from Utah, who's been joining us for the GRC 2023 conference. Dana, thank you. What was your favorite part about the conference?
Oh, it's so hard to choose just one favorite part, but in essence, I would just say being at Cambridge University, the history, being in the presence of phenomenal women who are making a difference in the world throughout the globe, and being in the presence of greatness and royalty, and the messages that the women imparted about confidence, standing in your truth, who are being pioneers throughout the world, who are taking a stance, who are not giving up, who are eminent in their talents and their gifts. There's just so many, it's hard to just, capture it all in one word.
Now, what was your key message that you shared with us today from your talk?
Oh, thank you for asking. My key message is for all participants and all listeners to remember to take your pulse. Taking your pulse is establishing peace within your mind, your body, and your soul. You take your pulse by awakening to what's holding you back. That's the first step to detecting. The second step is for you to look at how you can correct it by strengthening yourself. There are so many different ways to do it, by yoga, by meditation, sound therapy, by understanding who you are innately, looking at the different areas where you are in need of improving when it comes to spiritual, emotional, physical, relational, and financial. And the last step, which is the third and most beautiful step, it is the creme de la creme, which is to break free. And how you break free is by eating your pulse. That means just eating more plant-based meals, putting it onto your plate, because it cleanses your body. It is scientific, it's evidence-proof, and we need to eat more clean to help combat illnesses and diseases, as well as to prevent illnesses and diseases from coming. So we can all do this. It's really simple. Take your pulse. That's all you have to do every single day, and persevere.
Thank you, Dana. Today we're here at the 2023 Global Research Conference at King's College, Cambridge, and we have Dr. Gia Bora with us today. Dr. Gia, what was your main message for your takeaway from your talk today?
So I really wanted to focus on minority students and open their imagination and their mind to the possibilities that are available in the STEM fields, including the arts too. So just encouraging them to follow their passion, be persistent, and I learned from one of the other presenters just the idea of being resilient. So that was the main takeaway that I wanted to share with the people here today.
Incredible work. Thank you so much. And today we're here at the Global Research Conference 2023 at King's College, Cambridge, and we have Dr. Michelle Namek from Australia. Dr. Michelle, what was your main takeaway from your talk today?
My main takeaway was we live in a very uncertain and changing world. And the only thing that is certain is the degree of change that we're all going to experience. Excuse me. In this post-pandemic world, my main message is about resilience. It's about developing a skill set to manage ourselves and support those around us. It's also that organisations and industries need to be resilient if we are to make it through the future, because we know that we are going to face ongoing challenge and ongoing change. And that is my main point.
They were powerful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And today we're here at the 2023 Global Research Conference at King's College at Cambridge, and we have Dr. Angie Sue from Florida. Dr. Angie, what was your main takeaway from your talk today?
Oh, just trying to interconnect all the topics here. I feel that we all have something similar to share. Women's issue and being able to bring that, empower women is very important. And that's my takeaway, that all of the topics touch some kind of empowering women.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
GRC 2023.